Chapter 580. The burly men were all dumbfounded, while the commoners once again erupted in enthusiastic cheers. "What kind of thing are you, daring to obstruct this grandfather's good matter?" A large man that seemed like the leader pointed at Chu Xiaobai and loudly shouted. His voice was like a bell, but the words he said were strange and his pronunciation was not accurate, so they could barely understand him. Chu Xiaobai was a bit stunned. He raised his brows and said, "You aren't West Chu people, where did these beasts come from?" The large man cried out in anger. He picked up a knife from the ground and slashed it at Chu Xiaobai while cursing. "Little beast, you dare insult my East Qin, I'll cut off your dog head." It really was East Qin people. Chu Xiaobai gave a cold laugh and suddenly made a move. He grabbed the large man's collar and raised his hand, sending the large man flying high into the air. He turned in the air and fell into the river with a pudong sound. The surrounding East Qin men did not even have time to react before Chu Xiaobai threw them into the water like turtles. In the blink of an eye, the river bank was completely silent. The several large men in the river were floating down the river. They were all cursing out, wishing they could skin Chu Xiaobai alive, but they were afraid of Chu Xiaobai's martial arts, so no one dared to climb up to the shore to fight him. The citizens gave thunderous cheers. The young girls that were tied up in the carriage were also rescued by their families. They were untied and they all shyly thanked Chu Xiaobai. Everyone looked at Chu Xiaobai with eyes filled with worship and gratitude, and there were even quite a few people who were filled with love. Lu Wanting was one of them. Ever since Chu Xiaobai saved her, her eyes had never left his face. She came out of the crowd and was prepared to ask for his name and origin. Before she could even speak, Chu Xiaobai suddenly said, "You should quickly go home, these people will not give up like this. I can save you once, but that doesn't mean I can save you a second time." His heart was filled with melancholy. Although he had taught these East Qin men a lesson, when he thought of how these East Qin people dared to steal their own country's girls in front of their eyes, he knew that they were not putting their West Chu in their eyes at all. In these 10 years, East Qin had become more and more arrogant. Now they were treating West Chu as their vassal state, bullying them as they pleased. When would they be able to stand up straight and no longer be bullied by the East Qin people? But East Qin was holding the lifeline of their West Chu, which was his royal father. As long as his royal father was alive, West Chu would always have to lower their heads to East Qin. As long as his royal father was alive, West Chu would have to bow in front of East. Although he was surrounded by the crowd and everyone was looking at him as if he was a hero, he did not feel happy at all. He hoped that in the competition in 3 days, Chen Ning would be able to give the East Qin country a heavy blow and win a beautiful battle, making their East Qin country dare look down on West Chu again. When he thought of Chen Ning, his heart filled with warmth and his eyes lit up. But when he looked up at the bridge, he found that there was no one where Chen Ning had been standing. He was instantly covered in a cold sweat. Ning-er. Ning-er. Chu Xiaobai's heart began to beat wildly and he flew up without even thinking. Chapter 581. "Oh, so painful." She cried out in pain, but Chu Xiaobai turned a deaf ear to her and did not look back. He only cared about Chen Ning, there was no place for anyone else. Not to mention that he did not notice that Lu Wanting had fallen. Even if he did notice, he would not stop. "Young master! Young master!" Lu Wanting's charming voice came from behind him, but he did not hear it at all. He ran onto the stone bridge in a single breath. Everything on the stone bridge was the same as when he had left, except for the fact that her figure was missing. Ning-er, Ning-er. He shouted at the top of his lungs and used his qin gong. A white shadow dashed up and down the bridge twice, shouting and searching at the same time. He had only left for half a cup of tea's time, but Chen Ning had already disappeared. Did she leave on her own? Or was she taken away by someone? If she had been taken away, he was not far from the bridge. As long as she let out a cry of surprise, he would have heard it. But he did not hear anything. When he first snatched the weapons from the men's hands, he even raised his head to look at her. He saw her lying on the stone bridge with a smile in her dark and bright eyes, giving him a thumbs up. She had clearly been here a moment ago, so why did she disappear in the blink of an eye? Chu Xiaoyang's blood boiled and his mind was in a mess. He was like a headless fly as he charged into the crowd, shouting and shouting. There were people beside him that recognized him as the hero that had saved her, so they all asked him with concern. "Young master, are you looking for someone? Have you lost your companions? What does the person you're looking for look like? Tell us and we'll all help you find them." Chu Xiaobai gratefully nodded to everyone. "Have you seen a girl wearing a light green robe? She's around 16 or 17 years old. She's very pretty, the kind that people will never forget." When everyone heard this, they couldn't help looking at each other in blank dismay. This young master, can you describe it in more detail? There are many girls that have an unforgettable appearance. The girls that were taken away by those villains all had an unforgettable appearance. An old man coughed twice and said. Chu Xiaobai thought in his heart, how could those girls compare to Ning Er? Ning Er standing in the middle of them was like a pearl in front of a tile. But he couldn't say it out loud. Her eyes are very beautiful, brighter than the stars in the sky. As long as you see her, you will know. He thought about it, but he did not know how to describe Chen Ning's appearance. He realized that his mouth was really too stupid. Perhaps it was because in his heart, she was the kind of beauty that could not be described with words. When everyone heard this, they all felt that it was funny. However, when they saw his worried expression, no one dared to laugh. The old man waved his arm and said, "This young master just helped us save our family and taught a lesson to the villains. That's why he was separated from his little lover. We must help this young master find his beloved girl. Now, let's go look for her together. As long as it's a girl wearing light green clothes with eyes brighter than the stars, we will bring her here. Let the young master see if she's the one he's looking for." Chu Xiaobai's handsome face turned slightly red as he said, "Old sir, she is not my little lover, she is my good friend." Chapter 582. Although the old man nodded, he still had a look of disapproval on his face, thinking that he was too shy to admit it. Chu Xiaobai did not bother explaining and let them misunderstand. The crowd scattered to look for Chen Ning. Chu Xiaobai ran onto the stone bridge again and stood where Chen Ning was standing not long ago. His hand was placed on the cold stone and his heart was filled with ice. He looked down from above, looking at the crowd on both sides of the river. He wanted to find that familiar figure in the crowd. Although he knew it was futile, he had to look. Because he had already realized that she didn't leave on her own. Something unexpected must have happened. He could not think of any reason for her to leave without saying goodbye. His gaze subconsciously glanced at a spot, and his eyes immediately narrowed. He was now in the shadows not far away from him, and there was something shining brightly. He walked over and bent down to pick it up. Just taking a look, his throat tightened. This was the glass mirror she had just obtained. Then he found the box with the profound cold iron stone in the shadows. There was also an even larger gift box that contained all the small gifts she had won from guessing the lantern riddles. He opened the box and found the profound cold iron stone. He opened the gift box and found all the small gifts were there. Only she was missing. Ning Er. Ning Er. Chu Xiaobai tightly held the two boxes and loudly shouted. His voice was filled with sorrow, as if he was crying. His heart was filled with hate and regret. Why was he so careless, leaving her here alone, causing her to meet with an accident? If anything happened to her, how could he live? He would be drowned in pain and regret for the rest of his life. That's right, could she have been taken away by the Emperor again? This thought suddenly flashed through his mind, instantly filling his despairing heart with hope again. Right, it must be like this. It must be the Emperor who took her away and did not let him know, making him worry and making him worry. It must be to punish him for secretly bringing her out to see the lanterns. But this kind of punishment almost scared half his life away. Chu Xiaobai's heart relaxed. If the person who took her away was the Emperor, then she would not be in any danger. But what if it wasn't? His heart was in chaos. Waiting here was not a solution at all, so he decided to go find Shui Feng. Even if she was taken away by someone else, with Shui Feng's tracking skills, he would definitely be able to find her. Chu Xiaobai was about to leave when a clear and delicate voice suddenly came from behind him. Please wait. His body trembled, and he quickly turned around. He saw a young girl in light green clothes appear at the end of the bridge, and she was flying towards him. The moon and stars were dim and it looked like her shadow. But Chu Xiaobai could clearly see that it wasn't her. This girl in the light green dress was Lu Wanting, who he had saved. He immediately frowned and said with slight impatience, Miss, why haven't you returned home? Aren't you afraid that those people will make things difficult for you again? Her stopped in front of him. Of her. Chu Xiao of her. She said with of her, Chu. Chu, of to chew of shakes. Chapter 583. What did you say? Chu Xiaobai suddenly turned around and grabbed her wrist. Can you say it again? You saw her. Where is she? Lu Wanting's face turned slightly red. She lowered her head and did not say a word, revealing a shy expression. She had never had a man touch her skin before. She only felt that his palm was warm, tightly gripping her wrist. She was at a loss of what to do. She wanted to break free, but she also felt reluctant. A strange feeling spread in her heart. I'm sorry, miss. Did you really see her? Quickly tell me, where is she? Chu Xiaobai realized that he had lost his composure and let go of her, but his eyes stared right at her face. Lu Wanting's heart couldn't help feeling sour. She was secretly thinking that she wasn't your lover. If she wasn't your lover, why would you be this nervous? She took a breath and pointed under the bridge as she said, That's right, I saw her. She left with a black-clothed young master. A black-clothed young master? What does that young master look like? Chu Xiaobai's heart skipped a beat. That young master was very tall and he was wearing a black cloak. I couldn't see his face, but he was very good to that girl. He used his arms to protect her, just like he was protecting his lover. Lu Wanting blinked as she spoke. Really? How can you be sure that the girl you're talking about is the person I'm looking for? Chu Xiaobai looked at her with doubt. Young master, the girl you're looking for is wearing a light green robe like me. Her eyes are big, black, and bright. That's right, I also heard that black-clothed young master call her. Call her. That's right, call her Ning. Lu Wanting spoke as if it was true, making it seem more and more like it was true. Chu Xiaobai was pleasantly surprised as he said in a trembling voice, Then how long have you seen them go? Which direction did they go? It's in that direction. Lu Wanting pointed in a direction. Chu Xiaobai looked in the direction she pointed and only saw people moving around. Where could he see Chen Ning's figure? As for that tall black-clothed man, he didn't see a single one of them. But he already had an idea in his heart. He knew that the man Lu Wanting was talking about was Mo Chuan. He couldn't help letting out a sigh of relief as he thought, so she really left with him. But couldn't she have waited for him and told him about it? Didn't she know how worried and anxious he was when she left like this? Just now, he almost jumped into the river to look for her. I understand. Thank you, miss. Chu Xiaobai nodded to Lu Wanting. He held the 2 boxes in his arms and slowly walked off the stone bridge. His heart was filled with pain, but he couldn't describe it. He already knew that she didn't belong to him, but was he going to snatch away the happiness of being by her side? When she saw Mo Chuan, there was no trace of him in her heart, so she completely forgot about him. She even forgot to take the gift she won with her. Because she didn't care about these things at all. The man she liked was the emperor. What could she not have? He knew that as long as she wanted it, the emperor would think of a way to get it for her. However, these things were very precious to him, because every single one of them left behind her smile. As long as he saw these little things, he would recall this day, and he would not be willing to lose any of them. Chapter 584. She didn't even know who the girl he was looking for was. What she said just now was all nonsense, and he actually believed it. Humph, he was the person she liked. She would not allow him to have a second woman in his heart. Her eyes turned and she chased after Chu Xiaobai. Young master, young master. Wait for me. She chased after him. Chu Xiaobai did not hear her at all. Only when Lu Wanting grabbed his sleeve did he turn around. Seeing that it was her, he knit his brows again. He wanted to pull his sleeve out of her hand, but she tightly held on to it. Miss, do you have something else? Young master, you're just going to leave like this? Lu Wanting bit her lips and revealed a delicate and timid look. Leave? I don't want to leave, but if she leaves, what meaning is there for me to stay here? Chu Xiaobai's heart was filled with pain, not answering her question. His eyes did not focus on the sea of people. There were still many people at the Lantern Festival, but the person he wanted to see the most was not there. At this moment, she should be watching the lanterns with her most beloved person, right? Everyone was in pairs, beaming with joy. Only he was alone, dejected and dejected. Young master, please wait for me. Lu Wanting saw him turn around and run away, so she quickly chased after him. This little girl has a presumptuous request, I hope young master can agree to it. What presumptuous request? Chu Xiaobai did not turn around, but his voice was filled with impatience. Young master, this little girl's home is very far from here and I'm alone. It's already late, so this little girl is afraid. I want young master to send this little girl off, is that all right? Lu Wanting pitifully looked up at Chu Xiaobai. Chu Xiaobai's heart filled with annoyance. His eyes turned cold as he said, this young master does not have time. Young master, on account of this little girl telling you where that girl is, can young master help this little girl this time? This little girl is afraid of meeting those strong people again. Since young master has saved me once, this is the so-called saving a person to the end. Does young master have the heart to see this little girl fall into the hands of strong people again? Lu Wanting's eyes were filled with tears as she spoke in a soft voice. Adding in the dim moonlight and the intoxicating light, there was no man in this world that could bear to reject this little girl's request. Chu Xiaobai's heart skipped a beat. Of course he was not moved by Lu Wanting's beauty, but rather when she said, saving a person to the end. Thinking of those fierce East Qin men, his heart filled with righteous indignation. If this delicate girl were to fall into the hands of those burly men, only death would await her. If this delicate girl in front of him fell into the hands of those men, there would be no other way. Lu Wanting's heart was filled with joy, but her face was very dignified. She took 2 steps back and maintained a certain distance from Chu Xiaobai before replying, many thanks young master. This little girl's home is on the South Gates Ruiyang Lane. Auspicious Sun Lane. Chu Xiaobai thought about it, isn't that Imperial Censor Lu's palace? Chapter 585. Her attire was just right. It was not flashy, but it was not simple either. It was the style of a young lady from a large family. Lu Wanting shyly nodded. This little girl is surnamed Lu. When young master sends me back to the palace, my father will heavily reward young master and repay young master for saving this little girl's life. Her words were also a test. She wanted to see if Chu Xiaobai's attitude towards her would change because of her status. If Chu Xiaobai revealed even the slightest bit of flattery, she would look down on him. Who would have thought that Chu Xiaobai's expression would not change at all? It was still that cold and indifferent, like he was 1,000 miles away from her. He only gave a slight nod. So it's Miss Lu. There was nothing else after that. Lu Wanting was both happy and disappointed. She bit her lips as she followed 3 steps behind Chu Xiaobai. While walking, she was thinking about this white-clothed youth's background. She had asked for Chu Xiaobai's name before, but Chu Xiaobai ignored her, so she was too embarrassed to ask again. But if she didn't know the other side's identity, how could she see him again? His expression clearly showed that he had no intentions towards her, so how could she make him pay attention to her? Young master, are you also someone from the capital city? She tried to find a topic to talk about. Actually, when she heard Chu Xiaobai's pure accent, she knew that the other side was also someone from the capital city. Chu Xiaobai did not turn around and just gave a cold sound. If it wasn't for him giving her father Imperial Censor Lu face, he wouldn't have even given this sound. Lu Wanting was a bit stuck. She was an unmarried young girl and had taken the initiative to talk to him several times, but he either didn't answer her question or ignored her. This made her proud young girl heart feel very hurt. If she kept trying to find a topic to talk about, she would seem too unreserved and too shameless. She was also very proud and had always been flattered in the palms of others. If it wasn't for her admiration for him, she would not have taken this lying down. The two of them walked, one in front and one in the back. They were both thinking about their own thoughts and no one said a word. Chu Xiaobai did not want to say a single word to her. Hearing that she finally closed her mouth and did not say anything, he was happy to have some peace of mind. He just wanted to send her home as soon as possible, letting go of this responsibility. Ah! There's a snake. Suddenly, Lu Wanting's shocked cry came from behind him. Chu Xiaobai quickly turned around and came to Lu Wanting's side, asking, "Where is the snake?" They were walking in a rather dark alley. There was only a dim lantern hanging in front of the door of a house not far away, and the light was extremely dim. He looked around several times, but he did not see a single snake in the area. He saw Lu Wanting pointing at a rope hanging from the wall with an apologetic expression. She said in a soft voice, "I saw wrong. It's not a snake, it's a rope." Chu Xiaobai could not help staring at before turning around. Lu Wanting let out an "I-oh" sound. He turned around and saw her bending over, rubbing her ankle with a painful expression on her face. "Sorry, I sprained my ankle." She didn't wait for him to speak and said apologetically, "But it doesn't matter, I can continue walking." She stood up and limped to catch up with him. Chu Xiaobai ignored her and continued walking forward. However, he heard the footsteps behind him getting slower and slower. Eventually, he could no longer hear them. Chapter 586. Young master, I really can't walk anymore. It's all my fault, dragging the young master down. This place is not far from my home, so if the young master has something to do, please go ahead. I'll rest here for a bit and go back by myself. Lu Wanting knew that if she begged, the other side would ignore her, so she decided to take a step back. She thought that there was no man in this world that would have the heart to leave an injured and weak girl like her in this dark alley. This was especially true for this elegant young master dressed in white. He had saved her out of righteous indignation, so he would not abandon her. She was indeed very smart and her heart was very good at scheming against people. After Chu Xiaobai heard her words, his expression was indeed touched as he walked over to her. He stopped in front of her and looked down at her. "Your foot. Is it serious?" Lu Wanting looked down as she rubbed her ankle. In a soft voice, she said, "It's all right, it's just very painful." "Young master, you don't need to care about me, I've already troubled young master enough. You should leave first." She silently waited for Chu Xiaobai's next words, "Then I'll carry you." Her heart was beating fast. This was a good plan that she had spent a long time thinking of. She had to grab this chance no matter what. As long as he was willing to carry her, she would follow him for the rest of her life. Who would have thought that after waiting for a while, Chu Xiaobai would not say anything? She looked up and looked at him with a loving gaze. Her lips parted. "Young master, you." Before she finished, Chu Xiaobai nodded and said, "All right. Since it's like this, I'll be leaving first." Lu Wanting was stunned, almost not daring to believe her ears. "You." She just spat out a single word when she saw Chu Xiaobai's figure flash. Like a white lotus, he disappeared from her eyes. This. How was this possible? He actually left her, a weak girl, all alone in this dark alley in the middle of winter. Lu Wanting's face turned incomparably pale as she looked around with eyes filled with fear. That dark shadow was like a ghost bearing its fangs. She was so scared that her body began to tremble. Her hands hugged her shoulders and she tightly buried her head in her chest. She was filled with regret right now. Why did she think of such a bad idea? In the end, she did not get close to the other side and was dumped. If she knew it would be like this, she would not have done anything. She would have obediently followed behind the white-clothed young master. Perhaps she would have already returned to her familiar room, returning to her parents' warm embrace. A cold wind blew from an unknown corner, bringing with it a rotten smell. When she smelled it, she almost vomited. Woo woo, woo woo woo. She couldn't bear it any longer. Tears flowed out of her eyes and she began to sob. The current her heart was filled with pain and fear, completely different from the acting she had in front of Chu Xiao. Suddenly, she heard chaotic footsteps coming from the entrance of the alley. It seemed like many people were running in this direction. Flames flickered, and these people were even holding torches high up in their hands. Lu T's. Lu Wu T's words. Lu T I. She wanted. She quickly. She. Young miss. The crowd rushed into the alley with torches in their hands, shouting loudly. Chapter 587. Father, your daughter is here. She was pleasantly surprised. She stood up and ran towards the fire. Looking over, she saw that it was the Lu Palace's servants and guards and the one walking in front was Imperial Censor Lu. She threw herself into Imperial Censor Lu's embrace and cried in a very sad manner. Why are you so disobedient? Father didn't let you see the lanterns, so you sneaked out by yourself. What if something happened to you? Wait until we return home and see how your father will punish you. Although Imperial Censor Lu felt sorry for his daughter, he still fiercely reprimanded her. Lu Wanting looked down in grievance as tears kept falling. She now understood what had happened. It must have been that white-clothed young master who told her family where she was, that was why Imperial Censor Lu was able to find her so quickly. Her heart was very complex. She didn't know if she was grateful or resentful towards Chu Xiaobai. She heard Imperial Censor Lu say, "It's a good thing you met King Jing'an this time. If you sneak out again, do you think you will have this kind of luck again?" King Jing'an. Lu Wanting blinked and pulled her father's hand. "Father, the King Jing'an you're talking about, is he a white-clothed young master?" "What, you don't know who he is? Then why did he send you back?" Imperial Censor Lu stared at her. "Your daughter really doesn't know who he is, but he saved your daughter and sent your daughter home. Your daughter asked for his name and wanted to thank him, but he was not willing to tell me." Lu Wanting lowered her head and replied. Her voice was filled with joy that she could not suppress as flowers bloomed in her heart. King Jing'an, so he was King Jing'an, Chu Xiaobai. The legendary #1 young master of the capital city. He was young and charming, causing countless girls to fall for him. She never thought that she would have this kind of fortuitous encounter, meeting him and being saved by him. Could this be her Red One Star movement? "Thank you." "He is the respected King Jing'an, a member of the royal family. How could he care about your thanks? Even your father doesn't know what kind of gift to give him." You've met a noble person this time." Lu Wanting lowered her head without saying a word, but her lips slightly curled up. Chu Xiaobai came out of the Lu Palace and went straight to the royal palace. He was still a bit worried and prepared to ask Zhui Feng about the emperor's whereabouts. However, just as he turned a corner, he heard the sound of wind behind him. Then, a grey-clothed figure appeared in front of him and cupped his fists. Chu Xiaobai saw this and was filled with joy. When Chu Xiaobai saw this, he was pleasantly surprised. He called out, "Zhui Feng, why are you here? This king was looking for you." Zhui Feng's face slightly froze as he said, "Your Highness, the emperor has summoned you." Chu Xiaobai gave a bitter laugh and said, "Emperor. Why would your majesty have time to see me at this time? Your Highness, you should know what you have done." This subordinate didn't think that a righteous person like your Highness would say one thing and do another. Zhui Feng curled his lips and said in a sarcastic manner. Chu Xiaobai immediately raised his brows and coldly looked at Zhui Feng. "Zhui Feng, you are becoming bolder and bolder, daring to speak to this king like this. Feng, you're Xiao, Yi, as Chen, to say, Chen, king. Speak clearly, what did this king do?" Chapter 588. Chu Xiaobai's face instantly sunk. That's right, she was brought out by this king, but she was taken away by the emperor. When she left, she did not even leave a single word behind. This king almost went crazy looking for her. Does the emperor think this punishment is not enough? Does he want to bring this king back to be beaten 80 times? Zhui Feng lowered his head. "This subordinate heard your highness' words that night and respected and admired your highness, but I never thought that in just a day, you would do this kind of thing. You've miserably tricked this subordinate. Now that the emperor has found out, I ask your highness to hand over the person." Chu Xiaobai's heart skipped a beat as he asked, "Hand over the person? Hand over what person? Are you saying that she's not with His Majesty? Your Highness, since you dare to do this, why don't you dare admit it? You said that she was taken away by the Emperor, but this subordinate thinks that she was hidden by your Highness, right? This subordinate has always been by the Emperor's side. If it was the Emperor who took away the princess consort, why would this subordinate need to find your Highness for her?" Zhui Feng looked up with a serious expression. Chu Xiaobai's heart began to wildly beat. He felt his mouth go dry and his heart turn into a sea of flames, but his back was covered in a cold sweat. "Then you're saying that she isn't with the Emperor? It wasn't the Emperor who took her away? Then why did she disappear? That Miss Lu clearly said that she saw a tall black-clothed man with her. Could it be? Could it be that she was lying to me?" His mind was in chaos as he stood there in a daze. He suddenly gave a loud shout and ran back. Zhui Feng was shocked and quickly followed. He asked, "Your Highness, where are you going?" "The Emperor is waiting for you." Chu Xiaobai's mind was in chaos as he blurted out, "I'm going to find her. I want to ask her clearly." "Who are you looking for?" Chu Xiaobai suddenly stopped moving. Even if he found Lu Wanting, what could he do? What if the other side insisted that what she saw was true? Perhaps he had guessed wrong and the black-clothed man that took her away was not the Emperor. Shui Feng, quickly report to the Emperor. She has been taken away. She is gone." He turned around and grabbed Shui Feng's wrist. Shui Feng suspiciously looked at him. "Your Highness, this subordinate feels that you should hand the princess consort over. Last time you took the princess consort away, the Emperor not punishing you was already very merciful. Since you already know the truth, why are you doing this?" Chu Xiaobai's chest was filled with blood. His fingers exerted strength and Shui Feng's bones began to crack as he said, "I didn't. I didn't. Shui Feng, isn't your tracking technique unparalleled in the world? Help me find her. You can definitely find her." Shui Feng felt like his wrist was about to break as he grimaced in pain. "Your Highness, let go, let go. If you break this subordinate's wrist, how will this subordinate find him?" Chu Xiaozhui's let, but his Chu. Chen Xiaobai's SSC, but, and his, and. "Your Highness, when and where did you discover that the princess consort was missing?" he asked. "Not long ago, on a stone bridge." Chu Xiaobai quickly explained the situation and then said, "The entire process took less than half a cup of tea's time. When I looked up, I couldn't see her anymore. This subordinate wants to go take a look at the bridge." Chapter 589. Chu Xiaobai did not say another word as he quickly brought Shui Feng back to the stone bridge. The river under the bridge was vast and there were lanterns filled with hope floating in the water, but there was no one on the bridge. She was standing here at the time. When I was fighting below, she even gave me a faint smile. Chu Xiaobai thought back to the scene and his heart filled with pain. Shui Feng nodded, but he did not say anything. He first walked back and forth several times on the stone bridge before lying down on the ground. Only his four limbs were on the ground, like a lizard, looking very strange. Chu Xiaobai did not laugh at him. He knew that Shui Feng's tracking skills were unparalleled in the world, but this was the first time he had seen him use this skill in front of him. He saw Shui Feng lying on the ground, crawling inch by inch, almost covering half of the stone bridge. He looked very carefully, not missing a single crack in the stone. Then, he jumped up from the ground, and his expression became solemn. "Your Highness, you're right. The princess consort, she has indeed been taken away by someone. This subordinate has looked carefully and only saw traces of the princess consort coming, but not traces of her leaving. This means that she did not leave willingly and was taken away by someone else." Chu Xiaobai anxiously said, "Then quickly chase after her. Where did she go? We need to go save her immediately." Shui Feng shook his head and said in a dejected voice, "This subordinate has not found anything yet, but there is one thing I'm sure of. This person took the princess consort away and did not leave a single trace. His qigong must be very good, not below ours." Chu Xiaobai's heart sank. He blankly said, "If even you can't find her, then who can find her?" He suddenly forcefully clenched his fist and angrily said, "It's him. I think it must be third brother. I'm going to ask third brother." Shui Feng quickly pulled him back. "Your Highness, please calm down. This matter might not be done by King Dingyuan. Even if King Dingyuan really took the princess consort away, that is also. He found it a bit hard to say, but Chu Xiaobai naturally understood his meaning. That's right, even if third brother really took her away, what could he do? Because she was his third brother's princess, not his. What qualifications did he have to question his third brother? Ask his third brother for her. But, are we just going to let third brother take her away like this? Third brother, he will definitely imprison her and not give her freedom. Chu Xiaobai tightly grasped his chest, feeling like his heart was about to crack. He wanted to give her freedom and happiness, but he never thought that he would send her into a cage, making her lose the freedom she wanted forever. Shui Feng did not say anything. He closed his eyes and walked back and forth on the stone bridge twice before suddenly stopping. Your Highness, this subordinate feels that this matter might not be done by King Ding Yuan. He suddenly said. If it wasn't him, who else could it be? Chu Xiaobai angrily said as he stared at Shui Feng, why are you speaking for him? Shui Feng said. Shui Feng nodded and said, this subordinate did find something different, but I am not sure. This subordinate can only use another method to see if I can find the whereabouts of the princess. Feng. Your Highness, do you have anything that the princess consort has used on you? Feng. Chapter 590. Shui Feng revealed a slightly embarrassed look. This subordinate has a use for it. Chu Xiaobai looked at him with a doubtful gaze. He took out the mirror from his chest and gave it to him. This mirror was left behind by her not long ago. Shui Feng reached out to take it and placed it in front of his nose to take a few deep sniffs. Chu Xiaobai's heart filled with anger seeing this, and he took the mirror back. Stinky brat, what are you doing? This mirror had been placed in her chest before and still had her fragrance on it. Shui Feng's actions were simply frivolous, so it was no wonder he was angry. Shui Feng's face turned red and he explained, Your Highness has wronged this subordinate. This subordinate is not a frivolous person. This subordinate just wanted to smell the princess consort's scent and then find her whereabouts. Smell. Do you think you're a dog? Chu Xiaobai stared at him. Shui Feng said in a deep voice, If your Highness doesn't believe me, this subordinate has nothing to say. He took out a black cloth from his chest and covered his eyes. Then he took a few deep sniffs and began to walk in a certain direction. Chu Xiaobai was surprised and couldn't help following behind Shui Feng. Although Shui Feng was blindfolded, his footsteps became faster and faster. It was like he was seeing with his eyes, not hitting any obstacles at all. Moreover, he used his qigong and moved very fast. Only while he was walking, he kept taking deep breaths. He really looked like a dog. Chu Xiaobai silently criticized him, but his face did not reveal anything. He knew that Shui Feng's tracking ability was strange, but he never thought it would be this strange. He now understood why Shui Feng could accurately find his whereabouts after being hit by 2 thunderbolt eggs. So it was like this. He silently followed behind Shui Feng, not making a sound to disturb him. Your Highness, they should have left the city. Shui Feng stopped at the foot of the city wall. He pulled down the black cloth over his eyes and looked up at the tall city wall. With this kind of height, no matter how good their qigong was, no one could jump up, not to mention they were carrying a person. Unless it was a bird. Left the city. What are we waiting for? Keep chasing. Chu Xiaobai said. He took a deep breath and jumped up. His left foot tapped on the city wall and he used the momentum to jump up. When he reached the top of the city wall, his right foot tapped on the city wall. After doing this 3 times, he reached the top of the city wall. Your Highness has good qigong. Shui Feng gave a word of praise and also climbed up the city wall. Only his martial arts were completely different from Chu Xiaobai's. He used his hands and feet to grab onto the wall, quickly moving like a giant spider. He could move very fast and did not make a single sound. Even Chu Xiaobai couldn't help admiring him when he saw this. Shui Feng, others practice the gecko wall climbing technique, but I didn't expect your spider wall climbing technique to be 10 times better than the gecko. Shui Feng's face turned red and he blushed as he said, Your Highness, stop teasing this subordinate. He Feng's face and then said, Shui Feng's Feng. The two of them used their qigong and went down the wall. This time Shui Feng used his spider wall climbing technique. When he landed, he covered his eyes with a black cloth and ran to the left. Chu followed behind. Feng time for long for Feng. 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 Xiao. Zi, Feng and Feng followed. Chu. Sha. Chu to Feng. Of. This is the Imperial Palace's courtyard. Chu Xiaobai looked at the building in front of him in a daze. Then he glared at Shui Feng and said through gritted teeth, Shui Feng. Shui Feng was also stunned, with a look of disbelief on his face. Chapter 591. The truth is in front of you, what else do you need to say? You think it's very interesting to play tricks on this king like this, right? Shui Feng, this king never thought that you would lie to me with the emperor, playing around with me. Seeing me run around like a fool, it's very interesting, isn't it? Chu Xiaobai became angrier the more he spoke and the veins on his forehead popped out. He thought of the worry, anxiety, sadness, and regret he felt tonight. All sorts of emotions had tortured him to the point of going crazy, but he never thought that it was someone else playing tricks on him. A sense of humiliation from being deceived and fooled overwhelmed him. He angrily stared at Shui Feng, wishing he could make 2 holes in Shui Feng's face. Shui Feng was stunned as he stuttered, No. It's not like this. Your Highness, listen to this subordinate's explanation, it really isn't like this. The Emperor. He could not continue. If he said that it wasn't the Emperor who took the princess away, he would not believe it. This was clearly the other courtyard of the royal palace, it was one of the Emperor's favorite places. There was a natural hot spring here and whenever the Emperor was in a mess, he liked to come here to soak in the hot spring. Shui Feng, if you say another word, do you believe that this king won't kill you? Chu Xiaobai said word for word. Shui Feng tightly closed his mouth. Chu Xiaobai looked up and took a deep look at the other courtyard. His heart was sour, filled with sorrow, and filled with bitterness. He did not say a single word as he turned to leave. Your Highness. Shui Feng wanted to call out to him, but he only said 2 words before closing his mouth. He couldn't help secretly blaming the Emperor in his heart. Master, if you want to play tricks on King Jing'an, you shouldn't lie to this subordinate as well. This subordinate has always been loyal to you, never having second thoughts. Playing tricks on this subordinate like this, is that really good? No wonder Chu Xiaobai was so angry that his nose became crooked and he waved his sleeve to leave. Even his heart was filled with anger and injustice. He stared at him and also wanted to leave, but thinking about it, he couldn't leave. Even if his master played tricks on him 100 times, he was still his master and he was his master's secret guard. Wherever his master was, he would be there. Shui Feng gave a sigh and jumped over the wall in resignation. Who would have thought that before his feet touched the ground, he would suddenly feel danger coming from the shadows? This is bad. His heart went on high alert and he wanted to dodge, but it was too late. He felt several cold fingers grabbing his neck, making it hard for him to breathe. The fingers heavily poked his body and he could not move at all. Damn of him, he had been ambushed. Shui Feng's heart was filled with anger and anxiety. He forcefully opened his eyes, wanting to see who the person sneak attacking him was. He only saw a tall man in black with a large black cloak draped over him from head to toe. In addition, in the dark night, he couldn't see the man's face at all. He could only see a pair of gleaming, cold eyes. The pair of emotionless eyes looked at his face and then threw him into the corner like a piece of trash. The black cloak was like a butterfly in the dark night, fluttering a few times before disappearing in the direction of the backyard. Shui Feng was furious, gritting his teeth as he cursed in his heart. Zoff! Of! How dare you launch a sneak attack? What kind of hero are you? Unfortunately, his acupoints were sealed, so he couldn't say a single word. Chapter 592. This was because this courtyard was built in the forest on the outskirts and was built for this hot spring. Other than the emperor, only a few of the emperor's trusted aides knew about this place. There were no guards, maids, or eunuchs here because every time the emperor came here, he just wanted to have a quiet rest and did not like outsiders disturbing him. So Shui Feng never would have dreamed that he would meet an enemy in his own territory. Enemy. That's right, this person was definitely an enemy, and Shui Feng was sure that this black-clothed man was not the emperor. He had followed the emperor for many years, so he knew the emperor's body like the back of his hand. In terms of height, this black-clothed man was similar to the emperor, but his body was much taller. Moreover, his body temperature was very low. When those 5 fingers grabbed his neck, he almost thought they were the claws of a ghost, being bone-chilling. Shui Feng fell to the ground. Although his body did not move, his mind was in a mess as all kinds of thoughts filled his mind. Who was this black-clothed man that suddenly made a move? Why did he want to restrain him? If he really was an enemy, why didn't he just kill him? If the princess consort was really brought here by the emperor, then where did this black-clothed man come from? He wouldn't be here to assassinate the emperor, right? Suddenly, he thought of a large possibility. If it wasn't for the fact that he couldn't move his lips, he would have cried out in shock. Wrong! They were all wrong. The one who brought the princess consort was not the emperor, but rather this black-clothed man. He and King Jing'an were both wrong. Shui Feng loudly shouted in his heart. When they saw the royal family's courtyard, they thought that this matter was related to the emperor. In fact, he had always been by the emperor's side, so he knew that the emperor did not have the time and would not be so bored as to play this kind of joke with King Jing'an. It was a pity that no matter how loud the voice in his heart was, Chu Xiaobai had already walked far away and could not hear it anymore. After the black-clothed man restrained Shui Feng, he listened carefully. When he heard that there were no sounds outside, he immediately ran into the back courtyard. He seemed to be very familiar with the terrain here and quickly arrived in front of a tall wall of trees. There was a sulfuric smell in the air and steam was rising above the wall of trees. Behind it was a natural hot spring. He passed through the wall of trees and came to the side of the pool. On the stone bed by the side of the pool, there was a green-clothed young girl lying there. There were several peach blossom trees by the side of the pool and there were 2 lanterns hanging from the branches. The dim light of the lanterns shined onto the young girl's face. Her acupuncture point had been sealed by the black-clothed man and she could not move at all, but her clear eyes were wide open as she stared at the black-clothed man. On the stone bridge, this black-clothed man had suddenly appeared beside her, but she hadn't noticed him at all. She only felt a chill invading her body. Just as she shivered, she discovered that there was a cold arm around her waist. It was cold and hard, as if it was carved from stone. Then, her acupuncture points were sealed, and she fell into an icy embrace. Paw! The glass mirror slipped from her arms and fell to the ground. Chapter 593. The black-clothed man suddenly came and suddenly left. The entire process happened in the blink of an eye, so no one noticed it at all. Even Chu Xiaobai, who was not far away from the stone bridge, did not hear anything. When the mirror fell to the ground, the surrounding citizens erupted into thunderous cheers. Chen Ning was held in the black-clothed man's embrace and she could feel a chill coming from the man's body, making her teeth chatter. But the man's running speed was faster than a galloping horse. He was steady and fast, so she did not feel any shock at all. However, her entire body was covered by a black cloak, and her vision was pitch black. She had no idea where this mysterious person was taking her, nor what his purpose was. She could only judge one thing. The person holding her was a tall and burly man, and his body temperature was very low, completely surpassing a normal person's body temperature. After an unknown amount of time, the black-clothed man finally stopped. She could smell the familiar smell of sulfur. Then, her eyes suddenly lit up. The black-clothed man shook off his cloak and placed her on a stone couch. She turned her eyes and looked at the familiar scenery in front of her. There was a familiar smell in the air, and she knew where she was. This was the palace courtyard that Imo-chuan had brought her to before. But this black-clothed man was definitely not Imo-chuan. Why did he bring her here? Who was he? The black-clothed man took off his cloak, revealing a black, tight-fitting outfit that made his figure even more muscular and beautiful. The dim red light shone on his face, revealing his chiseled facial features. He had a pair of eyes that were as sharp as an eagle's. When he looked at people, his gaze was cold and fierce, but his body also carried a free and unrestrained aura. When people saw him, they would think of a handsome eagle soaring in the sky. This was a man like an eagle, but he was also a complete stranger. Chen Ning was certain that she had never seen him before. As long as she had seen a person once, she would never forget them. The black-clothed man stood in front of her, looking down at her. His eagle eyes did not even blink. Her eyes were clear and bright, like a clear spring. When they looked at each other, he could almost see his own reflection in her eyes. He had kidnapped her like this. If it was another girl, they would have already fainted from fright, but he did not see a single trace of fear on her face. Her eyes were still as beautiful as the first time he saw them. The black-clothed man rubbed his chin and looked over her. This girl was too strange. She was as delicate as a flower that could be blown away by the wind, but the feeling she gave him was like a bamboo that could not be bent. Interesting, truly interesting. He tilted his head and thought for a bit before releasing her acupuncture point. Hey, little girl, why aren't you afraid of me? He deliberately opened his eyes and revealed a fierce look. In reality, even when he didn't speak or move, his body still carried a piercingly cold aura that would make people shudder. Everyone who saw him didn't dare to look directly into his eyes. They couldn't help but lower their heads and shiver in front of him. This girl was an exception. After he asked, key of his mind, he was looking at her eyes. Chapter 594. She only glanced at him with her clear, black eyes, and then closed them. The black-clothed man was stunned. He thought that she did not understand his words, so he loudly said it again. This feeling of being ignored made him feel very uncomfortable. What he did not know was that Chen Ning was too lazy to reply to this kind of pointless question. She only needed to look at the black-clothed man to know that he did not have any killing intent towards her. His eyes were filled with curiosity and interest. She closed her eyes and quickly thought of a way to escape. She had already guessed this mysterious man's identity, but she did not know why he would kidnap her and bring her to this place. Who are you? Why did you bring me here? What is your goal? What do you want? Chen Ning suddenly opened her eyes. With a clear voice, she asked a series of questions. The man was stunned for a second before revealing a smile. He revealed a row of snow-white teeth that contrasted with his light wheat-colored skin, making him look very dazzling and beautiful. His facial features were cold and hard, but when he smiled, the lines of his face became gentle. It made people's eyes light up, as if they were looking at the clear sky or the sun rising over the prairies. His smile was bright and straightforward. It was like he was a completely different person from when he didn't smile. This was the first time Chen Ning had seen a person change this much just because of a smile. It was a pity that his smile only lasted for a few seconds before disappearing. He quickly began to take off his clothes. Chen Ning was stunned. What did he want to do? The man in black quickly took off his black tight-fitting shirt, revealing his muscular arms. On his sturdy chest, there was an indigo tattoo of a majestic goshawk, spreading its wings and flying. After taking off his shirt, he took off his belt and took off his pants. Chen Ning's acupuncture point had been sealed, so the only thing she could move were her eyes and mouth. Rogue! She secretly cursed in her heart. She tightly closed her eyes and mouth, but her heart was in her throat. She heard a plop sound, and then warm water splashed onto her face. The man had actually jumped into the hot spring pool. She finally understood that he was taking off his clothes to jump into the hot spring to take a bath. Miss, the water here is very warm. Do you want to take a bath together? The man poked his head out of the water, revealing a pair of sparkling eyes. His eyes were still sharp, but his expression was very satisfied. He tilted his head back and leaned against the edge of the hot spring. His entire body was submerged in the water, only revealing a deep face above the water. Chen Ning did not even look at him. She thought that at this time, Xiaobai would definitely discover that she was missing. He would definitely be looking for her everywhere. However, he would never have thought that she would be kidnapped here. That's right, Zhui Feng. He would definitely find Zhui Feng to look for her whereabouts. But could Zhui Feng find her? She faintly felt a trace of hope. Although this black-clothed man did not have any killing intent towards her, it did not mean that he had any good intentions towards her. That man did not get Chen Ning's reply, but he was not angry. He opened his throat and began to sing. It was very clear that his mood was very good and he was very relaxed. His voice was deep and powerful, with an indescribable magnetism to it. The melody of the song was very beautiful, but Chen Ning could not understand the meaning of the lyrics. Chapter 595. In the endless blue sky, there was an eagle flying. Its chest was filled with ambition and hope, longing to charge into the sun. She had never heard such a primitive, natural, and vivid song. The beautiful song made the night sky light up. Unknowingly, she was lost in thought. Her heart also flew to the grassland and soared together with the goshawk. Is my song good, On? The man's voice suddenly rang in her ear. It was so close that his hot breath blew directly into her ear, causing her to feel a chill down her spine. She abruptly opened her eyes, and what she saw was a pair of enlarged, bright, and piercing black eyes. His eyes were wild and sharp, with a trace of pride and wildness. He was like a cheetah in the forest, his body releasing a dangerous aura. Chen Ning found out that she had fallen into a daze listening to his song. She didn't even know when he came out of the pool, when he put on his clothes, or when he came to her side. She didn't want to answer his question, but after thinking about it, she seriously replied, "Your song is very good. Although I don't understand the meaning of the lyrics, I can see the sun on the prairie and the eagle flying in the sky." The man's eyes lit up and he opened his mouth again. He gave a clear laugh and the sharp haze in his eyes disappeared. You actually understood it. Ha, ha, good, very good. I'm very happy. He sat down in front of her and said with a smile, I'll sing another song for you. After saying this, he did not wait for her to speak before he began to sing. This time, his voice was completely different from last time. It was deeper than last time, but also gentler and more beautiful. It was as if he was whispering and murmuring. The whole tune was filled with a lingering feeling that could seep into one's bones. It was lingering and mellow, causing one to be involuntarily intoxicated. She listened for a while and felt her heart speed up. Her cheeks unknowingly turned red. Every word of this song was filled with affection. Could it be that he was pouring out his heart to her? But she did not know him at all. As the man sang, he slowly approached her. He stared at her without blinking and saw a faint blush appear on her face. His eyes became gentle and intoxicated, and he no longer had that sense of strangeness and alienation. He couldn't help feeling proud in his heart. It had to be known that he was famous for his golden voice. His singing could be considered one of the best in the world, but there were very few people that could hear him sing. The love song he sang was filled with sorrow, enough to move the heart of any girl in the world. There had never been an exception, never. So he had absolute confidence that he could make this girl in front of him infatuated with him. His mouth was singing a gentle love song and his face revealed a look of longing. His eyes were filled with passion as he slowly moved closer to her and touched her face. "Be my woman." His deep voice sounded like he was singing a love song. The surroundings were so quiet. The wind blew gently, and the petals that were blown down slowly floated in the air. They slowly fell into the pond and landed on the bodies of the two people, bringing with them bursts of fragrance. Chen Ning suddenly opened her eyes. Her eyes were as clear as water, bright and clear, instantly looking into his eyes. Chapter 596. The man's smile froze in his eyes. His eyes turned sharp and he said in a sharp voice, "What did you say?" "What crown prince?" Chen Ning coldly looked at him. She put away her smile and closed her eyes. The man's large hand grabbed her chin and he shouted again, "What do you know? Who are you?" She opened her eyes and looked right at him. "Your Highness, we meet again. Although you were masked last time, I knew it was you. Honest people don't do shady things, so since I recognized you, why don't you have the courage to admit it? Could it be that the East Qin Crown Prince is famous, but you don't even have the courage to admit your identity?" "You?" The man was stunned by her words. He raised his thick eyebrows, and a sharp sense of danger enveloped her body once again. "You really are bold. Are you not afraid of this prince silencing you?" He said in a deep voice as killing intent flashed in his eyes. "Of course I'm not afraid," she casually replied. He was stunned. "What did you say? You're not afraid? Do you really think this prince doesn't dare kill you? Let me tell you, this prince is not a person who has tender feelings for the fairer sex." His fingers slowly moved down and fell onto her slender neck, slowly tightening. She directly closed her eyes and did not say another word. The East Qin Crown Prince was stunned again. He indeed had killing intent towards her, but he did not want to kill her immediately. It was like a cat catching a mouse. If he didn't play to his heart's content, how could he bear to let her die like this? But he found that she was not afraid of death at all and was not afraid of him. It wasn't that Chen Ning was not afraid of death, but she would rather die than be humiliated by this man. "As long as you tell me how you recognize this prince won't kill you. I'll forgive you and let you go." The East Qin Crown Prince slowly released his fingers from her neck. "Will your Highness keep your words?" She raised her eyelashes. "This prince's words are as good as gold." "Then unseal my acupuncture point first and I'll tell you." "All right." He was very straightforward as he directly unsealed her acupuncture point. She was a weak little girl who did not know martial arts, so she could not escape his palm no matter what. But since he could think of it, Chen Ning could also think of it. She knew that she could not escape, but she did not want to lie there like a cripple, being bullied by others. Once her acupuncture point was unsealed, she immediately sat up and moved a bit further away from the East Qin Crown Prince. The East Qin Crown Prince revealed a smile, revealing his white teeth. He was laughing at her unnecessary actions. If he wanted to use force on her, why did he have to wait until now? He could do whatever he wanted. However, he was proud of his identity and was never willing to force others. This kind of thing would only be fun if the other party was willing. The first time I saw you, I knew you weren't a West Chu citizen because the first thing you said when you saw me was kubasimilitu. That was your first reaction and you spoke the language you were most familiar with. If my guess isn't wrong, you spoke the East Chin language and your next words were, "Tell me, who are you?" Although you immediately changed and spoke in West country, you, Chen Ning looked at him and spoke in a calm voice. Chapter 597. I know you still want to ask me how I know the masked person was you. I think your highness will not forget that I bit your finger that day. It was in this position. Your highness also has this wound on your finger. It can't be a coincidence, right? Chen Ning's eyes swept over his finger. That's not a coincidence, right? Chen Ning's eyes swept over his finger. Your eyes are quite powerful. The East Chin Crown Prince did not deny it. The other reason is that I know the East Chin envoys have arrived in the capital and the two songs your highness sang just now were clearly not songs from my West Chu country. The first song was about the vastness of the prairies and only those who have personally seen the prairies and live in the prairies can understand the meaning of the sky being vast and the grass being blown by the wind. East Chin is a country of the prairies, so if I couldn't guess your identity after hearing this song, wouldn't I be too stupid? The East Chin Crown Prince couldn't help nodding and saying, "That's right, you are indeed smarter than normal people, but you can only guess that I am from the East Chin country. How did you know that I am the Crown Prince? Could it be that your West Chu already knew that this Crown Prince would come to the capital?" His eyes filled with killing intent once again. How is this hard to guess? Although I am only a little girl, I have heard of your highness' illustrious name. There were East Chin people kidnapping young girls under the stone bridge. It seems like your highness purposely ordered them to do that, right? Their goal was to draw people away from me, giving your highness the chance. If you weren't the Crown Prince, how could those people listen to you? Chen Ning said in a calm voice. That's not certain. I am not the Crown Prince, I can be the leader of the envoys and they will still listen to my orders. His eyes sparkled. He didn't expect her to be smarter than he thought. Is that so? According to what I know, the East Chin country respects the eagle and all the royal disciples will have an eagle tattoo on their chest. As everyone knows, the East Chin emperor only has a single prince and he has been titled the Crown Prince since he was 7. If you are not the Crown Prince, where did the eagle tattoo on your chest come from? I believe that in the entire East Chin country, there is no one that dares to tattoo the royal family symbol on their chest. Your Highness, are you satisfied with what I've said? After Chen Ning said this, she stood up and moved her stiff limbs. She took 2 steps before turning around and saying, Your Highness, can I leave now? The East Chin Crown Prince suddenly jumped up from the ground and stood in front of her. His tall body blocked the light from the lantern above his head, covering her in a dark shadow. No, you can't. Oh. Who would have thought that His Highness the Crown Prince would actually be a person who doesn't keep his words? This Crown Prince is a man of his words. If I say I'll let you go, then I'll let you go. However, this Crown Prince never promised to let you go immediately. The East Chin Crown Prince placed his hands on his hips and his eyes revealed a sly smile. The East Chin Crown Prince placed his hands on his waist and revealed a smile. Chin. You are indeed smart, the smartest woman I have ever seen in my life. Do you think this prince will let you go? He revealed a proud smile. It was an arrogant and wild smile, a smile without any fear. He looked at her condescendingly, as if he was looking at a little white rabbit that had fallen into the claws of a wolf. His interest in her grew stronger and stronger. Chapter 598. This was the first time he had seen this kind of smart and beautiful girl. If he let her go like this, then he would not be the smartest person in the world, but rather the biggest idiot in the world. This prince still plans on making you my woman. He narrowed his eyes and prepared to see her flustered appearance. It would be as cute as an angry kitten. Chen Ning looked up and looked right into his eyes. That pair of eagle-like eyes, sharp and sharp. I think your highness has fallen for me, right? I think I need to tell your highness that I am already married. She softly said. Oh, already married. Does that mean you have a husband? Is it the black-clothed man that wanted to kill me that day or the white-clothed brat tonight? Or is it both? The East Qin Crown Prince said with a grin, looking like he didn't care at all. Chen Ning bit her lips. This East Qin Crown Prince was even harder to deal with than she had imagined. Wasn't he the respected Crown Prince of a country? How could his face be this thick? Little girl, so what if you're already married? Our East Qin country is not like your West Chu country that cares about those broken rules. In our East Qin country, we rely on strength and fists to speak. No matter which woman it is, as long as a man likes her, it doesn't matter if she's married or not. As long as your fist is hard, you can take her over. Tell this prince, just who is your husband? This prince wants to compete with him. If he loses to this prince, then you will be mine. The East Qin Crown Prince patted his thick chest, showing off his strength. He indeed had the capital and qualifications to be proud because in the entire East Qin country, there was no one that was his match. Your Highness, this is West Chu, not East Qin. Chen Ning said in a sarcastic voice. So what if it's West Chu? Aren't you still defeated by our East Qin? Little girl, you still don't know, but even your country's emperor has to be polite and respectful when he sees this prince. If he knew that this prince liked a girl from your West Chu country, he would be overjoyed. He would immediately give you a decree to this prince. But this prince is willing to give you a chance to show your face. I'm willing to have a fair fight with your man in front of everyone and take you from his hands. However, your West Chu men are all as weak as chickens, not a single one is this prince's match. So, you will be this prince's woman sooner or later. How about you give yourself to this prince now? His eyes lit up, as if there was an endless amount of energy that he wanted to release. He suddenly grabbed her hand and pulled her into his embrace. She couldn't help falling into his embrace. The East Qin Crown Prince broke out in laughter as he picked her up and said, "This is a good place. It's quiet and there's no one around, there definitely won't be anyone disturbing the matter between you and this prince." Woo, there was an annoying fellow following us, but he was still sent away by this prince. Chen Ning's heart skipped a beat and she pretended she didn't care as she asked, "West of this prince?" Chen's heart. Of that of mo of this. She silently let the East Qin Crown Prince hug her without struggling because she knew that the more she struggled, the more it would stimulate this man's desire to conquer. Chapter 599. That's right, could it be that he is also your little lover? There really are a lot of wasps in the fragrance of flowers, one or two of them are really annoying. But they are not this prince's match. The East Qin Crown Prince carried her as he walked away from the hot spring. He knew that there were several warm rooms on the side that were beautifully decorated, but no one came here. So, he openly took this place as his own, treating it like his own home and staying here. Wait a minute. Chen Ning suddenly spoke up. She knew what he wanted to do. If he carried her into the room, she would be a bird in a cage, unable to escape. What? You don't like entering the room? You like staying here? Ha, sleeping on the ground, this prince likes it. He looked up with a laugh. Chen Ning's face couldn't help turning red as she scolded, "Rogue. Lu Ho. This prince already told you last time, my surname is not Lu and I'm not called Lu Ho. Wu, you still don't know this prince's name, right? I am called Na Mu Kyo. This prince likes you and is willing to give you a special honor. You can call this prince Akyo. He revealed a toothy smile. His snow-white teeth shined under the starlight, like a wild beast baring its fangs. Na Mu Kyo. Ah Kyo. This person really lived up to his name, he was completely wrong. Okay, Ah Kyo, I want to see him. She said straightforwardly. He smiled. He liked her straightforward personality, just like the girls of their East Chin country. He originally only had a 30% interest in her, but now it had increased to 50%. Who do you want to see? Your little lover. Alright, this prince is in a good mood today, so I'll let you see him. But you can't go with him, otherwise this prince will kill him. Alright, I won't go with him. Put me down first. Na Mu Kyo put her down and placed his two large hands on her shoulders. He leaned over and said with a smile, are you starting to like me? Do you like my people? Or my songs? Also, my face is not bad, right? She almost couldn't help laughing at his smug, arrogant look. This was the first time she had seen someone as narcissistic as him. He was born with a golden spoon in his mouth and had a noble status. Adding in his intelligence, he had never met any setbacks before. When everyone saw him, other than flattering him, they would do everything they could to please him, so he had this kind of personality. If I tell you that I don't like you at all, I don't like you, I don't like your songs, and I don't like your face, will you let me go? She looked at him in a serious manner. What? You don't like me? How is that possible? Which part of this prince cannot compare to your little lover? You. Na Mu Kyo stared at her in disbelief and gritted his teeth. Alright, just you wait, I'll bring him to see you now. I'll beat him until he begs for mercy in front of you. Very soon, she heard a voice scolding, you're despicable and shameless. What kind of hero are you to launch a sneak attack? If you have the guts, fight me fair and square. It was Zhui Feng, not Mo Chuan. She bit her lips and thought this was bad. If even Zhui Feng fell into Na Mu Kyo's hands, who would report this to Mo Chuan? Chapter 600. Na Mu Kyo said with a smile, this brat's martial arts aren't that great, but his mouth is quite strong. His curses are very unpleasant to hear. His throwing technique was very clever. Zhui Feng's back fell to the ground and he only felt a bit of pain before he could move his limbs again. Zhui Feng jumped up like a fish and looked at Na Mu Kyo with eyes filled with shock. He had always thought that the other side had launched a sneak attack, but who would have thought that Na Mu Kyo's martial arts would be so profound? He knew that he would never be able to do such a thing. Hey, brat, who are you to her? Husband? Or lover? Na Mu Kyo pointed at Qin Ning and asked in a loud voice. Zhui Feng's face couldn't help turning red as he angrily said, what nonsense are you saying, I'm not anyone. What, you're not a person? Na Mu Kyo stared at him and broke out in laughter. Zhui Feng's face turned red to his ears, my meaning is that I'm not her husband or lover. How could he have the courage to have ideas about his master's beloved girl? Na Mu Kyo stopped laughing and looked at him with a suspicious gaze. Then you secretly admire her? Not at all. Zhui Feng angrily said. He found that he was not this man's match, but the princess was in his hands. What should he do? Should he charge forward and fight to the death with this man to let the princess escape? Or should he find a chance to steal her and then report to the emperor? He couldn't make up his mind. Hey, stinky brat, your eyes are moving around, it's clear you have bad intentions. Don't think you can trick me. Na Mu Kyo reached out with a large palm and his body moved forward, suddenly pressing down on Zhui Feng's shoulder. Zhui Feng's shoulder shrank back, he barely dodged this grab. His right hand reached out to his waist and there was already a silver snake-like whip in his hand. This was his weapon, he didn't use it easily. At this time, he knew that he had met a strong opponent, so how could he care about the rules of martial arts? The other side was this strong, so if he didn't use a weapon, he would not be a match at all. He waved his silver whip and a strong gust of wind flew out at a tricky angle at Na Mu Kuo's face. Hey, insignificant skills, you actually have the face to take them out. Your whip is truly lacking, let me teach you what it means to be the ancestor of the whip. Na Mu Kuo said with a face full of disdain. Zhui Feng suddenly felt the whip tighten as Na Mu Kuo tightly grabbed it. He was shocked and forcefully tried to pull it back, shouting, "Let it." Na Mu Kuo smiled and said, "Fine, I'll let you go, I'll return it to you." Zhui Feng was using all his strength, but who would have thought that the other side would let go just like that? He used all his strength on himself and felt a pain in his chest like he had been hit by a large hammer. His throat felt sweet and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Silver light fl Kuo, Mu Kuo. Ling, and the T, Mu Kuo, Chu, he saw, and T. Fong of, T, of Mo, ZT, of ZH of. Fong, Mu ZH. Of. Zhui Feng's face turned red, filled with shame. Although he knew that he was not a match, he never thought that he would lose in a single move. Not only was he spitting out blood, he was also restrained by his own weapon to the point where he could not move. Chapter 601. Let go of me. No, let go of her. If you want to kill someone, then kill me. Let her go. Zhui Feng steeled his heart and loudly said. He knew that his silver whip was made of gold and silver threads mixed with a special metal, so it was very tough. Even if he used his internal energy, it would not break. Since he couldn't escape, he would just die. He did not know where this black-clothed man in front of him had come from. Losing his life like this, it was truly unjust. Ze, are you an idiot brat? You can even say this kind of stupid words. Na Mu Kuo couldn't help shaking his head at him. He pulled Chen Ning over and pointed at Zhui Feng as he said, "You like this kind of idiot? Do you think he's an idiot?" Zhui Feng was filled with rage as the veins on his forehead popped out. He angrily roared out, "Are you even human? Do you know how to speak human words? You're the idiot. You're the idiot. If you're not an idiot, how could you say that kind of thing? Why would I keep you here? I'm not interested in men, I'm not interested in killing you, and I'm not interested in sleeping with you. I'll only tell you one thing, I like her and I want her. If you're not convinced, then fight with me again." Zhui Feng's face first turned red before turning purple. After he finished speaking, his entire face turned as black as a pot. You really are bold. Do you know who she is? She is. Before he could finish, Chen Ning took a step forward and cut him off. Zhui Feng, shut up. She turned around and said to Na Mu Kuo, "Kuo, you've made a mistake. He is not my husband or my lover, he is only my guard." Na Mu Kuo stared into her eyes and said, "He is only a guard. You really don't like him?" "Of course I don't like him. I'm this smart and he's this stupid, how could I like him?" Chen Ning gave a cold smile to Zhui Feng. Zhui Feng's face turned green. Not bad, not bad. This kind of greenhorn, this kind of dumb brat, he doesn't have the qualifications to be your guard. Does this mean you're willing to be with me? He looked at her. She revealed a faint smile, there's nothing bad about being with you. Your singing is very good and your looks are also not bad. When Namu Kyo heard this, he couldn't help breaking out in laughter. Shui Feng was so angry that his body trembled. He stared at Chen Ning, not daring to believe that this was the girl the emperor liked. She was actually smiling at the man who kidnapped her. He was even intimately calling him, Ah Kyo. Ah Pei. He shouted with all his might, Shen. Shen. You're shameless. You've let down the emperor. He abruptly shut his mouth. Chen Ning coldly looked at him. I can do whatever I want, what does that have to do with you? Ah Kyo, if he dares to curse me again, then use mud to block his mouth. Namu Kyo laughed even more happily, his eyes sparkling. Ha, good. Since he has nothing to do with you, I'll let him go. Shen, him. He chin. She. Chin chin God, he chin, he, chin, he chin, I, chin, of him, he. Hearing the sound of soft footsteps, in the blink of an eye, he had already brought Chen Ning far away. Shui Fang's eyes almost popped out of their sockets as his eyes turned blood red. He wished he could chase after them. He used all his strength to pull the silver whip on his body, but he could only hear a xing-jing sound, but it did not break at all. Chapter 602. With no other choice, he could only curse loudly. Suddenly, he heard the sound of wind, like leaves falling to the ground. He knew that someone had come, but he thought that Namu Kyo had come back because of his cursing. Bastard, bastard. Let go of father if you have the guts. Fight with father again. Father will beat you until your teeth fall to the ground. His cursing suddenly stopped and his eyes went wide. He looked at the man in front of him in a daze and said in a stuttering voice, Jing, Jing, King Jing'an, you. Why are you here? Under the moonlight, Chu Xiaobai's white robe fluttered in the wind. His face was as white as his clothes, making his eyes seem even darker. He did not say a word as he walked beside Shui Feng and untied the silver whip binding him. King Jing'an, don't worry about this subordinate. Quickly chase. Chase that man, he has taken the princess consort away. Shui Feng anxiously shouted. Chu Xiaobai did not say a word. After untying the silver whip, he gave it to Shui Feng and stood in place. Did you hear what this subordinate said? There is a man that came out of nowhere that has taken the princess consort away. If we don't save her, she will definitely be. Shui Feng thought of the way Namu Kyo looked at Chen Ning. He was a man, so he could clearly see it. That was clearly a hungry wolf and the princess consort was a helpless and kind little lamb. He stopped and forcefully glared at Chu Xiaobai. If your highness doesn't go save her, this subordinate will go. Shui Feng, stop. Chu Xiaobai suddenly said. Shui Feng turned around in a daze and stared at him. Your highness, what are you saying? You don't need to chase. Even if you catch up, you won't be able to save her. Chu Xiaobai calmly looked at him. His voice was calm and his face was calm, without a trace of excitement or anger. Shui Feng almost suspected that he was looking at another King Jing'an. He was just too calm. Did he not like the princess consort anymore? Your highness, what do you mean? You won't save her and you won't let this subordinate save her. Do you want the princess consort to be humiliated by that man? Shui Feng said through gritted teeth. Chu Xiaobai could be ruthless, but he couldn't. He had the emperor's orders, so he had to chase after them no matter what. He began to walk away. Shui Feng, that person said you were stupid and he wasn't wrong. You really are stupid and stupid enough. Chu Xiaobai did not stop him and just spoke in a soft voice from behind him. Your highness, this subordinate has never offended you, right? Is there a need to humiliate this subordinate like this? Shui Feng suddenly turned around. Shui Feng. Can't you see it? She deliberately left with him. Chu Xiaobai said. So, on purpose. Windchaser's eyes widened in disbelief. Chu Xiaobai nodded and revealed a faint bitter expression. That's right. Shui Feng sucked in a cold breath and revealed a pained look. It can't be, right? How will this subordinate explain this to the emperor? This subordinate couldn't possibly tell the emperor that his beloved girl had a change of heart and left with another man, right? In a fit of anger, the emperor would definitely chop off this subordinate's head. The Princess Ai of Qin, Princess of King Wang. She is not worthy of His Majesty's deep affection for her. As soon as he finished speaking, there was a "pa" sound as Chu Xiaobai slapped his face. Chapter 603. If you dare say another bad word about her, this king will hit you again. Chu Xiaobai stared at him and said word for word. Shui Feng trembled in anger as he shouted, Your Highness, she has a change of heart. She is willing to be with another man, but you're still protecting her like this. You say this subordinate is stupid, but this subordinate thinks you're the real stupid one. Chu Xiaobai angrily said, Who says she has a change of heart? Who says she is willing? It's what you just said, you wouldn't have immediately forgotten, right? When Chu Xiaobai heard this, he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He raised his hand and Shui Feng immediately dodged, revealing a face of caution. He looked at Shui Feng and asked in a serious voice, Shui Feng, do you know why you've followed the emperor for so many years, but you've always been a secret guard? Shui Feng stuck out his chest as he replied, That's because the emperor trusts this subordinate. Chu Xiaobai shook his head and pointed at his temple as he said, It's because you don't understand this place, so even if the emperor wants to give you an important task, he doesn't trust you to do something too important. Shui Feng said with a dark face, This subordinate is not stupid, this subordinate knows that your highness is calling this subordinate a fool. Aren't you stupid enough? You can't even see such an obvious fact. Do you know who the man that took her away is? How would this subordinate know who he is? This subordinate was sneak attacked by that bastard as soon as I came in. Could it be that your highness knows who he is? Shui Feng angrily said. Of course I know. He is the East Qin Crown Prince, Na Mu Qiu. Chu Xiaobai said word for word. Shui Feng suddenly sucked in a breath and his eyes went wide as he said, He is the East Qin Crown Prince. He could not see it at all. Na Mu Qiu spoke very fluently in the West Chu language. He had exchanged several sentences with him, but he could not hear the foreign accent at all. Your Highness, how do you know? Chu Xiaobai couldn't help rolling his eyes at him and snappily saying, Of course I heard it with my ears. Do you think I'm like you, not looking at anything and just foolishly jumping into the wall with my eyes closed? What happened in the end? Did you fall into Na Mu Qiu's trap? Shui Feng's face turned red and he said in a low voice, How do you know, Your Highness? Didn't you leave at that time? I left, but I came back because this king knew that the emperor would not play around with me, so I came back. When I arrived, I just happened to see the East Qin Crown Prince capturing a big idiot. Chu Xiaobai said with a serious expression. That's right. Shui Feng's face turned red to his ears, Your Highness, don't humiliate this subordinate. Since you came at that time, why didn't you save this subordinate earlier? Could it be that the two of us together couldn't beat that Na Mu? Na Mu. Chu Xiaobai patted his shoulder and gave a sigh, His name is Na Mu Qiu. Remember, it's wrong, not right. Good, this subordinate will remember. Na Mu Qiu. Wang Ye, although his kung fu is high, if we fight him together, we should be able to beat him, right? Chen, Feng, na, and, chin, na, 44, phone, at. Phone. Harm her. In this world, she is the only person I will never harm. How could I harm her? Could it be that I am not sad seeing her being taken away? Chapter 604. Please forgive this subordinate's bad eyes, but this subordinate does not see any worry on your face. Since your highness is not worried about the princess consort's safety, this subordinate will report to the emperor. I believe the emperor will definitely save the princess consort from Namu Kyo's hands. After Shui Feng said this, he did not wait for Chu Xiaobai to speak. With a tap of his right foot, he flew over the wall and headed in the direction of the capital city. He flew out a mile before he heard the sound of clothes fluttering in the wind behind him. Looking back, he saw Chu Xiaobai following behind him, maintaining a distance of 3 steps. Your Highness, why are you following this subordinate? Shui Feng said in a cold voice. I am going to see the emperor. Chu Xiaobai had an indifferent and calm expression on his face. The emperor does not want to see you right now, so you should wait until tomorrow morning to see the emperor. Shui Feng gave a snort as his heart was filled with disdain towards Chu Xiaobai. That night, Chu Xiaobai's words were very pleasant and moving. Even his heart made of stone had been softened by his true feelings. He said that as long as she was happy, it was fine. He would be satisfied and happy. But in the blink of an eye, he had changed into a different person. Just because the person the princess consort liked was not him, but rather the emperor, he allowed the princess consort to be taken away by the foreign prince and did not save her. Was this still a man? He, Shui Feng, truly had eyes but failed to see, treating this kind of scum as his brother. Shui Feng's heart was filled with anger. He did not want to say a single word to Chu Xiaobai and did not want to look at him at all. He was looking down on him. Your Highness, this subordinate has already said that the emperor does not want to see you. Your Highness should not follow this subordinate anymore. Shui Feng suddenly stopped and coldly looked at Chu Xiaobai. Whether the emperor wants to see this king or not, it is not up to a secret guard like you to decide. Chu Xiaobai's eyes were cold and his words were also very cold. Tell this king, where is the emperor? This subordinate does not know. Shui Feng weakly said. Chu Xiaobai did not say anything. He crossed his hands behind his back and calmly looked at him. Shui Feng couldn't help secretly grinding his teeth. He knew that in terms of qigong, Chu Xiaobai was not inferior to him. It would not be easy for him to throw off this tail. But bring him to see the emperor. He was going to report him to the emperor. This matter of reporting him in front of Chu Xiaobai, how could he have the face to say it? King Jingant, please don't make things difficult for this subordinate. Shui Feng's heart was filled with anxiety. If he delayed it any longer and the emperor found the East Qin crown prince, it would be too late. If the princess consort was insulted by the East Qin crown prince, what face would Shui Feng have to see the emperor? He was the emperor's secret guard and he couldn't even protect a girl from the emperor. He was not even for the emperor. He was have was not want. He was not. This king is not making things difficult for you. You are making things difficult for yourself. Shui Feng could not understand what Chu Xiaobai was saying. Your Highness, you know this subordinate's brain is stupid, can't you say it a bit more clearly? You don't want to save the princess consort because she doesn't like you, so you hate her, right? That's why you didn't save him, right? Shui Feng was a straightforward person. Whatever he thought in his heart, he would just say it. So in Shui Feng's heart, Chu Xiaobai am this kind of person. Chapter 605. Do you know how painful and uncomfortable it is for me to watch her being taken away by others? You will never know, Shui Feng, because you are a piece of stone, a piece of wood. You have never understood what emotions are, you are just a puppet that only knows how to follow your master's orders. Chu Xiaobai grabbed the clothes on his chest. It was hard to endure the pain, but his face was still calm. He was in great pain, but he was not willing to let others see it because he was proud and he did not want to accept anyone's pitiful gaze. He was like a lonely and proud wolf. Once he was injured, he would find a place where no one was and lick his wounds by himself. But Shui Feng's words were like pouring salt on his wounds. It was like digging out his wounds and forcefully cutting them twice, making him feel even more pain and even more injuries. King Jing'an, this subordinate respects you as His Highness, but if you keep insulting this subordinate will not be polite to you. As a secret guard, Shui Feng hated hearing the words marionette the most. To a loyal secret guard, this was the biggest insult. Not polite, could it be you are being polite to this king right now? Chu Xiaobai gave a cold laugh as his eyes filled with faint flames of anger. He had no way to vent the anger in his heart, especially when he saw Shui Feng's annoying face. He just wanted to punch the other side's nose crooked. Who? Without saying another word, he sent a heavy punch at Shui Feng's nose. Shui Feng never thought that he would attack like this and that he would attack so quickly, so he quickly dodged. Although he was not hit in the nose, the wind from the punch brushed past his face, making his cheeks feel pain. It could be seen that Chu Xiaobai had used his true strength in this punch. Your Highness, do you want to teach this subordinate a few martial arts moves? Shui Feng was also filled with anger. He already looked down on the other side's actions of leaving someone to die, but now he could not suppress the anger in his heart. He was secretly thinking that he would teach him a lesson for the Emperor and take revenge for the Emperor. Less nonsense. Watch this move. Chu Xiaobai charged forward and turned into a white blur. His fists flew out, each punch aimed at Shui Feng's vital points, not showing any mercy at all. His heart was filled with depression and he wanted to vent it all with all his moves. In his eyes, the other side was not Shui Feng, but rather Na Mu Kuo. Shui Feng used his qinggong and dodged several dangerous moves. Although he was angry and wanted to teach the other side a lesson, the other side was still His Highness. Due to the difference in status, he did not make a move at all. But other than his qinggong, his fists, feet, and hidden weapons were all inferior to Chu Xiaobai's. Adding in the fact that he did not fight back, he was at a disadvantage. Finally, he could not dodge in time and his chin was hit by Chu Xiaobai's fist. Ah! Your Highness, you of. Your Highness, you of attacks. Shui Feng was in so much pain that tears came out. He gritted his teeth and began to counterattack. The two of them began to fight with a pang, 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 pang sound. Shui Feng's martial arts were on the same level. After fighting for an hour, there was no clear victor and both sides had taken quite a few kicks and punches from the other side. Only Shui Feng remembered the other side's status as a prince. Even if the other side kicked his butt, he was too embarrassed to leave his muddy footprints on Chu Xiaobai's white robes. Chapter 606. I won't fight anymore. I won't fight anymore. This subordinate will admit defeat. Shui Feng also jumped back. He was so tired that he was gasping for breath and couldn't catch his breath. Chu Xiaobai's body was also covered in sweat. After this hearty fight, the anger in both sides' hearts had disappeared quite a bit. Your Highness, this subordinate still needs to report to the Emperor. If you want to teach this subordinate a lesson, wait until next time. Shui Feng thought of his mission and his heart was filled with regret. How could he not care about his priorities and fight with King Jing'an for no reason, wasting this much time. No wonder King Jing'an and Na Mu Kyo called him a fool, he really was a fool. He was filled with regret and shame. As he prepared to leave, Chu Xiaobai suddenly grabbed his arm and said in a deep voice, "She will be fine." Who? Who won't be fine? Shui Feng was stunned, but then he reacted. He turned to look at Chu Xiaobai and said in a stunned voice, "You're saying that the princess consort won't be in danger?" Chu Xiaobai nodded and said, "Yes, she willingly left with Na Mu Kyo, so she has a way to protect herself. She won't let herself be in danger." Shui Feng was stunned. He couldn't help digging his ears. "Your Highness, did this subordinate hear wrong?" "You didn't hear wrong." Chu Xiaobai softly said, "After your acupuncture point was sealed by Na Mu Kyo, I quietly snuck into the back courtyard and hid behind the tree wall. I wanted to find a chance to save her, but I found out that after she found out that the other side was the East Qin Crown Prince, her tone and attitude changed. She wanted to stay by his side." "What? She?" Her heart really changed. Shui Feng's face fell and he said in a hateful voice, "Humph, this kind of girl is fickle. Seeing that the East Qin Crown Prince is handsome, has good martial arts, and has a noble identity, her heart changed. She actually completely forgot about the Emperor's kindness to her. Your Highness, this kind of girl is not worth you and the Emperor treating her so well." He suddenly saw Chu Xiaobai's cold and angry eyes look at him and he swallowed the rest of his words back into his stomach. The slap he had suffered not long ago was still aching, but he steeled his heart and shouted, "Your Highness, even if you kill this subordinate will still say it. She is not a girl worth your love. Just let her and the East Qin Crown Prince be together. This subordinate will tell the Emperor, she..." "Shui Feng, shut up. You can't say a single bad word about her. She is not the kind of person you say she is. She is willing to take the risk to be with the East Qin Crown Prince, she is doing it for our West Chu." Chu Xiaobai couldn't help but blurt out. Chu couldn't help but blurt out. He wanted to keep this a secret, but he couldn't stand Shui Feng slandering her like this and belittling her like this. Shui Feng's chin fell down when he heard this. He tightly knit his brows and said in a slow voice, "Your Highness, you know this subordinate is a stupid person. Can you explain it clearly? What does this matter have to do with our West Chu? What's T Chu in three's competition?" Chu Xiaobai said in a deep voice, "Do you know who our West Chu will send to compete with the East Qin Crown Prince in reading the Steels 3 days from now?" Shui Feng shook his head. "This subordinate doesn't know. Didn't the Emperor ask your Highness to invite an expert to help? Could it be your Highness did not manage to invite one? It's her." Chapter 607. Now that things had reached this point, if Shui Feng still did not understand what was going on, his wooden head could be cut off and used as a chair. "Her. It's the princess consort." Shui Feng's mouth opened wide like a toad's and his eyes almost popped out. This was simply too unbelievable. He never would have dreamed of it. The so-called knowing yourself and knowing your enemy, you can win 100 battles. Chu Xiaobai softly said. Shui Feng completely understood this time. He suddenly slapped his forehead and said in a voice of realization, "So it's like this. The princess consort is truly thoughtful, but isn't it too dangerous for her to do this? That Namu, right? No, Namu Kyo clearly has ill intentions towards the princess consort. The princess consort does not know martial arts and she is a weak girl, falling into the hands of the East Qin Crown Prince. This is bad, this is very bad. This subordinate will immediately report this matter to the Emperor." Shui Feng broke out in a cold sweat the more he thought about it. He admired Chen Ning's courage, but he was also worried for her. "Your Highness, do you really believe that the princess consort has the ability to protect herself?" Are you not worried for her at all? I believe in her, Chu Xiaobai firmly said. In this world, he could not be the person she loved the most, but he was the person who understood her the most and the person who believed in her the most. It was because he understood her that he knew that once she made up her mind to do something, she would definitely complete it. Since she had decided to stay by Na Mu Kyo's side, all he could do was silently help her complete her wish and not obstruct her for his own selfish reasons. Even though his heart had been taken away by her, his chest was empty now, leaving only waves of pain that were more intense than the previous. How could he not be worried? Your Highness. Zhui Feng seemed like he understood something. He opened his mouth and wanted to comfort Chu Xiaobai, but he had no words to say. Then, what do we do now? Do we report this matter to the Emperor? If the Emperor finds out. Zhui Feng awkwardly scratched his head. He was worried that after the Emperor found out, he would run to the guest palace to find the East Qin crown prince. Wouldn't that ruin the princess consort's plan? Just report it as it is. I believe the Emperor will understand her good intentions. The Emperor will understand, Chu Xiaobai softly said. He believed in her taste. The man whom she chose must have the same heart as her. Before, he thought he was that lucky person, but it was too late. He had returned too late. Asterisk as Chu Xiaobai expected, Chen Ning had been deliberately taken away by Na Mu Kyo. Ever since she found out that Na Mu Kyo was the East Qin crown prince, she thought of a very risky plan. That was, she had to find a way to stay by Na Mu Kyo's side. There were still 3 days until the competition, but she knew nothing about the training of instant visual memory. And the only person who could help her learn this method was Na Mu Kyo. Her plan was very dangerous because she knew very little about Na Mu Kyo. She could only observe his expression, tone of voice, and body language to determine what kind of person he was. He was very aggressive, arrogant, and conceited. Although arrogant, he was also a little naive. He was like a vigorous cheetah, eyeing the prey that he was interested in. Chapter 608. Dealing with Na Mu Kyo was like standing on the tip of a knife, causing her to tense up at every moment. She did not know where Na Mu Kyo was taking her, but when she was in his embrace this time, she began to feel different. His body was no longer like a block of ice, rather he had the body temperature of a normal person. Why did this kind of change happen? Could it be because of the hot spring? She suddenly thought of the first time she saw him. It was at the same time that he suddenly appeared and jumped into the hot spring. But she did not have time to think about it. Na Mu Kyo stopped and took off the cloak covering her body, putting her down. Her eyes suddenly lit up. What is this place? She raised her eyes and looked around. This was a very beautifully decorated room. There was a thick wool carpet on the floor that was soft and warm to step on. There was a crystal bead curtain in front of her and there were exquisite copper lamps on the wall. When the light shined on the bead curtain, it gave off a dreamy glow. There was a low table on the carpet. There were no chairs, but there were many brocade cushions. The entire room was filled with a strong foreign style, very different from the West Chu style. This is a guest house, but this room is decorated according to our East Qin customs. Do you like it? Na Mu Kyo revealed a smile at her, revealing his snow-white teeth. His smile was filled with confidence because he could tell from her expression that she liked this place. He clapped his hands, and a few servants walked in, carrying a large bathtub. The bathtub was steaming, and they walked into the quiet room behind the crystal bead curtain. Your Highness, everything has been prepared. The servants bowed to Na Mu Kyo. Na Mu Kyo nodded. Call the female slaves in. Very quickly, 4 female slaves came in with trays. There were clothes and towels on the trays and the room was filled with the fragrance of flowers, making people feel refreshed after smelling it. My little beauty, this was specially prepared for you. Go take a bath, you'll feel refreshed. He waved his hand and the female slaves escorted Chen Ning into the room without saying a word. Chen Ning bit her lower lip with her teeth and stared at the bathtub that was filled with steam. Did this mean that he wanted to wash her clean and give her a tribute? I won't wash. Don't touch me. The 4 female slaves came over to pull her clothes. She tried to block them, but the female slaves all knew martial arts and quickly pushed her into the bathtub. It was unknown what kind of spice was in the water, but it had a refreshing fragrance. It made her drowsy as she soaked in the warm water. Since she couldn't escape, she just relaxed herself and let the female slaves bathe her. When she came out of the bathtub, her skin was of a translucent crystal that was even more beautiful. Where are my clothes? She found that the clothes the female slaves gave her were not the ones she was wearing, rather it was a set of bright and beautiful East Chin clothes. The female slaves did not speak the East Chin language, so they gestured to her, meaning that her clothes had already been thrown away. Chen Ning was helpless and could only wear this set of clothes that was completely different from the West Chu style. Chapter 609. When she came out of the room, Na Mu Kyo was standing in front of the window, looking out in a daze. When he heard her footsteps, he turned around. When he saw the new her, his eyes lit up. He smiled, revealing his white teeth, and walked up to her. You look really good in these clothes, just like a girl from our East Chin country. He stood 3 steps in front of her and looked her up and down, just like he was admiring a piece of art. Chen Ning pursed her lips and did not say a word, letting his eyes wander over her body. In his eyes, she was already prey in his claws that could not escape. He was just thinking of a way to eat her up. Sit, I've prepared the best food in our East Chin country for you. Na Mu Kyo had also changed into a new set of clothes. That tight cut made his figure look tall and straight. He stood straight and his chin was slightly raised, releasing a charm that made people hold their breath. He was just like an unruly wild horse, wild and enchanting. He smiled at her again. That smiling eyes were even darker than his hair. Chen Ning had already smelled the enticing smell of food in the air. She looked down and saw fruits and delicacies placed on the table. She sat down without any politeness and began to fill her stomach. Try this is something I specially ordered them to prepare for you. Na Mu Kyo sat cross-legged on the cushion in front of her and pushed a transparent crystal cup in front of her. Not bad, it's very delicious. Thank you for your highness' hospitality. The crystal cup was filled with snow-white pastries with a fragrant smell. She took a bite and found that it was very sweet, fragrant, and smooth. She also drank the liquid in the cup. It was cold and sweet, but she could not taste what it was. In fact, most of the food she ate, she did not know what it was, but the taste was very delicious. I never thought that you would like our East Chin country's food. You are the first girl I've seen with such courage. Na Mu Kyo's eyes fell onto the plate that she had swept clean and he revealed a satisfied smile. Courage? Chen Ning asked in a strange voice, shouldn't you be praising my appetite? He revealed a smile and his eyes sparkled, do you know what you just ate? He pointed at an empty plate. Not long ago, there had been some roasted meat on the plate, but it had been eaten by her in a few bites. Roasted meat. She replied, feeling a bit unsatisfied. This is mountain bat meat. After he said that, he looked at her maliciously, waiting for her expression to change. Chen Ning blinked and said without changing her expression, the taste is delicious, but the amount is too little. Next time I ask your highness to tell your chef to make more. This time it was Na Mu Kyo's turn to be surprised. She was the first person he had met who knew that he had eaten mountain bat meat without batting an eyelid. Even among the East Chin girls, there were very few that were as bold as her. There were not many East Chin girls like her. This is vole meat, this is toad leg, this is. He pointed to the dishes on the table one by one, observing her expression as he spoke. He did not believe that her expression would not change. Chen Ning revealed a smile. They are all delicacies from the mountains. I must thank His Highness for his hospitality, allowing me to eat all these delicacies that I rarely eat. Na Mu Kyo couldn't help sweating. He had ordered people to do this, but he did not have any good intentions. He wanted to scare her, but he never thought that although this girl looked weak, her nerves would be even stronger than old bamboo. Chapter 6:10. Alright, since you've eaten your fill, we should talk about proper business. He clapped his hands and someone immediately came in to take away the plates on the table. They brought in 2 cups of hot tea and freshly cut fruits. This was clearly the etiquette for entertaining guests. Chen Ning raised her brows and calmly drank the tea. It was a bit salty and bitter, but it was fragrant and mellow, so she drank it all in one gulp. You're this confident in me, aren't you afraid this prince will drug the food at all? Na Mu Kyo calmly looked at her and said. Chen Ning revealed a faint smile and replied, I believe in your highness' character, you would never do this kind of despicable thing. Why? If your highness wants a woman, you yourself are the best medicine, you don't need to drug the food at all. She calmly replied. Na Mu Kyo couldn't help breaking out in laughter as his eyes sparkled. You're praising this prince to my face. What, have you already discovered this prince's charm and have begun to like me? Chen Ning smiled without saying a word. I like hearing you speak. Your voice is even more beautiful than the nightingales on the prairies, your eyes are even more enchanting than the stars in the spring night, and your face is like an undying snow lotus on a snowy mountain, always so enchanting. As long as I look at you, it will make my heart feel peaceful. My little beauty, you've already used clean water to bathe yourself, so what you should do now is offer your holy body to this prince. Na Mu Kyo walked closer to her as he spoke. He reached out to lift her chin and looked into her enchanting eyes. His calloused fingers gently slid across her smooth face. Now is not the time. She calmly said. Then when is the time? This prince can tell you that in our East Chin, as long as this prince likes a woman, there has never been a woman that has been rejected by this prince. This prince is willing to have a woman, that is a blessing bestowed upon her. It's a pity that this is West Chu and not East Chin. I am a West Chu citizen, so I do not dare accept your highness' blessing. She said with a faint smile. Is that so? You keep rejecting this prince, is it because you don't like me? Or is it because of your identity that you don't dare accept me? His fingers, which were holding her chin, suddenly tightened. His hawk-like eyes stared at her, without the slightest hint of a smile in them. Chen Ning's heart skipped a beat, but her face was still calm. My identity, what identity? She blinked and said. You still want to hide it from me. Your husband is surnamed Chu and is called Chu Xiaoyang. He is the King Ding Yuan of West Chu, so you are the respected King Ding Yuan princess. Your husband is surnamed Chu and is called Chu Xiaoyang. He is the King Ding Yuan of the West Chu country, so you are the noble Ding Yuan princess. Princess, this prince is not wrong, right? He really did know her identity. Chen Ning revealed a faint smile and said, Your Highness is truly the smartest person in the world, being able to find out who I am in such a short amount of time. Admirable, admirable. She had only taken a shower, but his attitude towards her was completely different from before. This was indeed somewhat out of her expectations. Chapter 6:11. After saying this, he suddenly raised his brows and fiercely stared at her. His eyes revealed a fierce glow. Your Highness' question is very strange. I have never lied to you before and I have never played any tricks in front of you. Chen Ning had an innocent look on her face. Her eyes were black and bright with a calm look. I have already told your highness that I have been married before. It was your highness who said he didn't care at all, but you kept saying that you wanted to fight my husband. In the end, you forcefully took me away without asking me, but now you're saying that I deliberately approached you. Isn't this being wronged? You woman, you clearly have bad intentions towards this prince. Na Mu Kyo's face turned red from her questioning and he forcefully raised his chin. Chen Ning revealed a smile. Her smile made Na Mu Kyo even angrier. He stared at her, feeling like he had never seen through her before. The first time they met, he had been attracted by her pure and fairy-like beauty. When her dark and bright eyes looked at him, he felt like his chest had been hit by an arrow, making him feel sore and painful. He could not forget her, so he sent out a large amount of people at the Lantern Festival to search for beautiful girls, hoping to find her. In the end, he really did see her in the sea of people. This time, he did not hesitate to take her away. He thought that with his appearance, singing, and charm, he would be able to move her heart and make her willingly offer herself to him. But he found that not only was this girl beautiful, she was also smart. She had seen through his identity in an instant. He had wanted her to become one of his countless women. After he was tired of her, he would kill her. But a beautiful and smart girl was different. He was known as the smartest person in the world, so he liked to interact with smart people the most. He began to have a bit of interest in her. For this kind of smart girl, she would not be easily moved by him. It seemed like he needed to spend a bit more effort on her. This was because he had seen the two flower protectors beside her. In terms of appearance and martial arts, they were not below his, but he did not care. Everyone loved fragrant and beautiful flowers, but whether or not they could be picked depended on their own skill. During the time she went in to take a bath, he had already found out her background. Now he finally knew who his opponent was and who her husband was. This should be the other way around. The one with bad intentions is your highness, right? Chen Ning asked back. Humph, a sharp tongue. Take a look at what this is. Na Mu Kyo took out a yellow scroll from his chest and waved it in front of her. When Chen Ning saw this, she instantly understood. This was the imperial decree that Chu Xiaobai had specially asked for her. She left in a hurry, so she didn't have time to put the imperial edict back in the room. She brought it with her. When she was bathing, the 4 female slaves took the clothes she took off. They said they threw it away, but in reality, they gave it to Na Mu Kyo. This imperial edict was in her pocket and he took it out. He could speak the West Chu language fluently, so naturally he could read the West Chu language. As soon as he saw this imperial edict, he immediately became suspicious. Thus, he sent someone to investigate and found out her identity. What is this? Could it be that your highness has never seen it before? This is an imperial edict. Chen Ning calmly said. Chapter 6:12. If my guesses aren't wrong, I believe your highness has already seen the contents of this imperial edict. Since you've seen it, why are you asking me? Do you want me to translate it to you word for word? Chen Ning blinked at him with a pair of innocent eyes. Na Mu Kyo stared at her, filled with anger. Did this girl's guts grow hair? How could she be this bold? He had clearly seen through her identity, but she still had a calm expression. Chen Ning. Do you think that this prince doesn't dare kill you? He angrily roared out. His right hand moved down and grabbed her slender neck. Of course your highness dares to kill me, but you can't kill me. Chen Ning raised her head high up. There was no fear on her face and her eyes were as clear as water. What do you mean? Na Mu Kyo was stunned. Does your highness know who will be competing with you in reading the steals on horseback 3 days from now? Who? It's me. She casually said. What? It's you. Naomukyo was shocked, almost not daring to believe his ears. His eyes opened wide as he looked at Chen-Ning without blinking. He repeated himself, "You're saying that your West Chu Emperor has sent you to compete with this prince in reading the steals on horseback?" "That's right, it's me." Chen-Ning nodded. "Impossible." He didn't even think before shaking his head. "Although your West Chu men are all cowards, they shouldn't be afraid of a man. They actually send a little girl to compete with this prince. Isn't this clearly not putting this prince in their eyes?" Your Highness, I believe that our West Chu Emperor will not use the citizens' tribute to show his contempt for your Highness. Since the Emperor has sent me to compete, he believes that I can defeat your Highness. You want to win against this prince? In your dreams. Naomukyo looked at her like he was looking at a monster. "You are indeed the smartest girl this prince has ever seen, but no matter how smart you are, you can't compare to this prince. Even if you practice for another 20 years, you can forget about winning against this prince," he said in a proud and conceited voice. But Chen-Ning knew that he had the capital to be proud and what he said was right. She indeed couldn't beat him right now. "I know that I can't win against you, so I want your Highness to teach me how to memorize the steals while running," she said in a calm voice, clearly enunciating each word. Naomukyo couldn't help shaking his head and picking his ears. "You want this prince to teach you?" He almost broke out in laughter. This little girl was really too interesting. The words that came out of her mouth were simply whimsical and could not help but make people laugh. He was her opponent in the competition, and she actually wanted him to teach her the secret. This was as funny as it could be. Ha, 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 ha. He really couldn't hold it in as he broke out in laughter. After he finished laughing, he lowered his head and touched her soft face. With a smile, he said, "If you agree to be this prince's woman and serve this prince to my satisfaction, perhaps this prince can consider your proposal." You. Sheet. Chent. Chen. You. Shen, T. Sheet, teat by she turned his hand as she. Chapter 6:13. She pursed her lips and revealed a look of ridicule. Naomukyo was filled with rage as he shouted, "Who says this prince is afraid of losing? All right, I'll teach you. If you can't win against this prince in 3 days, you'll become the prince's woman. Do you dare agree?" With how smart he was, how could he not hear that she was trying to provoke him? But even if he knew, he still couldn't swallow this. Not to mention that he was confident in his victory. So what if he told her the secret? If she wanted to learn it in 3 days, could she really beat him? That was purely a dream. "All right, I agree." Chen-Ning was waiting for him to say this. She immediately nodded and reached out a hand. "I've heard that your East Qin country has a rule of clapping palms to make a vow. Do you dare clap 3 palms with me? Why wouldn't this prince dare? I'm afraid you'll go back on your word." Naomukyo raised his right palm and clapped it 3 times with her. After the 3 palms clapped, he suddenly turned his palm and firmly grabbed her right hand. With a proud smile, he said, "Little beauty, in 3 days, you will be mine." Chen-Ning said, "It's still too early to say this. Perhaps in 3 days, it will be your Highness who loses." "Then what does your Highness want to lose to me?" "I don't want your person." She pursed her lips into a smile after saying this and pulled her right hand back from his large palm. "This prince will definitely not lose." "What if?" "There is definitely no what if," Naomukyo confidently said. "All right, Since your highness is this confident, then if I really win against your highness, I want to make a request. Does your highness dare to agree to it? Naomukyo knew that she was trying to provoke him again. He gave a conceited smile as he reached out to caress her cheek and said in a low voice, "That is an impossible matter, but this prince can promise you that I will make you lose convincingly. However, if you lose, no matter what this prince wants you to do, you will have to obediently listen to this prince's orders." Chen Ning took a step back and avoided his palm. "That's fine, but I hope that your highness can maintain your noble status before the competition. You are the East Qin Crown Prince and I am the West Chu Princess, so I hope that you can treat me with respect." "Treat me with respect? You're afraid that this prince will violate you?" Ha, you don't have to worry about this. This prince will never force others. Otherwise, do you think you would still be standing here talking to this prince? His eyes lit up and were filled with interest towards her. His eyes were filled with a faint glow. As a prince, he could have any woman he wanted, he would never lack women. However, he had never met a woman who could truly suit his heart. For her, he could wait for 3 days. "Your highness is a person who keeps his word, I believe you." She gave him a faint smile. "Kyo, call me of. He narrowed his eyes and looked at her beautiful smile. He suddenly regretted it. She was going to be his sooner or later. Why did he agree to wait for 3 more days? King of. He of. He. Chen of and of. Of. Alright, you can call me whatever you want now. When you become this prince's woman, this prince wants you to call me 100 times a day." He looked up and gave a laugh as he walked towards the door. "Wait." Chapter 6:14. Chen Ning rolled her eyes at him and snappily said, "I want to ask you, when will you start teaching me? If you want me to lose convincingly, then take out your true skills." The smile on Naomukyo's face slowly disappeared and he stared at her. He could see that she was very serious. Didn't this mean that she wasn't playing hard to get with him? Was she really planning on beating him in that competition? He began to feel that this was unbelievable. The reason why he could have this pair of fiery golden eyes, other than his talent, he had worked hard every day for over 10 years. "You're serious?" he slowly said. "Of course, does your highness think I'm joking with you? This prince might as well tell you. Even if I tell you all the methods, you won't be able to learn them in 3 days. Even if you learn them, you can forget about beating this prince. Because it's something that's impossible to do. How would I know it's impossible if I don't try? I'm a person who likes to face difficulties head-on." She revealed a faint smile. Her smile was confident and her eyes were clear. A certain part of his heart suddenly trembled, as if he had been touched by her words, but there was nothing strange about it on his face. "Alright, then you can obediently sleep here. When this prince's mood is good, naturally I'll come and teach you. Let me tell you, don't even think about running away. You won't be able to run away because no one can escape from this prince's eyes. As for what happens to those that escape, do you want to know?" He slowly said. "What happens?" This prince will catch her and personally skin her. This prince's skinning skills are very good, so she won't die after being skinned. She will be like a bloody ball of meat that can run, move, and talk. You can't imagine how interesting that scene is." His eyes revealed a cruel glow, but his face revealed a smile. Chen Ning's back was covered in cold sweat and her breathing couldn't help becoming tight. She heard Naomukyo continue to say, "Do you know why she ran away? Because she hooked up with another man behind this prince's back. Then this prince caught that man and stripped him of his clothes. He made him hug that ball of meat and tightly tied the 2 of them together. Didn't he like to hug this prince's woman? Then this prince will let them hug each other in death. Do you know what that man's expression was when he found out that the bloody meatball in his arms was his beloved and charming woman? His eyes popped out of his head in fear before he fainted. Namu-kyo said this and broke out in laughter again, but there was only anger in his laughter and no joy at all. Chen-ning suddenly shivered and shook her head as she said, "Don't say any more, don't say any more." "What, you don't dare?" "But this prince hasn't finished speaking yet. Do you know what? This prince sent the two of them to the sky burial terrace and let the eagles in the sky eat their flesh, only leaving behind a few white bones. Tell me, isn't this prince very benevolent towards them?" As soon as she thought of that scene, a chill ran down her spine again. Of course she had heard of the sky burial terrace, but she never thought that Namu-kyo would actually feed a living person to the vultures. Chapter 6:15. That's right, you are truly kind to them. You sent the two of them to heaven and now they are living together, never to be separated again, living happily ever after. Even if you want to threaten them, you can't do it. Chen-ning's heart was filled with disgust and her voice became filled with sarcasm. Namu-kyo's face instantly turned red and he angrily jumped up. He forcefully pointed at Chen-ning, being so angry that he couldn't say anything. You. He found that he was so smart, but he couldn't find the words to refute her. His chest swelled and tightened at the thought that there was some truth in what she said. Chen-ning looked at him and suddenly said, "Your Highness, you must love that girl a lot, right? Is she the one in your heart?" Namu-kyo wanted to say, "What does it have to do with you? Why should this prince tell you?" However, he couldn't help but nod his head. The past events of the past surged into his mind, causing his voice to become gloomy. That's right, she is this prince's most beloved girl. She is also the most beautiful girl in our East Chin country. She and I were childhood sweethearts and I already knew that when we grew up, she would be my bride. I have been waiting for her to grow up, waiting for the day she marries me. Do you know how long I waited for her?" He paused for a bit. Without waiting for Chen-ning to speak, he continued to say, "I waited for her for an entire 18 years. On the day she finally turned 18, I proposed to her and she smiled shyly as she agreed. At that moment, I felt that I was the happiest person in the world. But do you know what happened afterwards?" Chen-ning did not say a word and just silently listened. She knew that Namu-kyo did not care about her reply. He had been suppressed for too long, he just wanted a pair of ears that could listen. On the night she agreed to my proposal, I was so happy that I couldn't sleep, so I ran under her window. I did not want to disturb her sleep, I just wanted to hear if she was calling my name in her sleep. If she wasn't asleep, I would sing to her under her window, singing until she fell asleep. In our East Chin country, all the girls liked to listen to my singing, but I was only willing to sing to her. Every time she heard me sing, she would become very quiet. She would sit in front of me with her chin in her hands and those eyes that were brighter than the stars in the sky would look at me without blinking. She looked at my heart and my singing became even more touching and even more moving. At that time, I really wanted to hug her and kiss her, but every time I wanted to do this, she would stop me. She said that she was still young and wanted me to slowly wait for her to grow up. Namu-kyo's voice was deep and had a trace of magnetism. He had a beautiful voice that was like flowing water that lingered in her ears. She was entranced by his words. She didn't expect that this man, who looked so aggressive, would have such lingering and immature feelings of love. Chapter 6:16. It was like my acupuncture point had been poked and I just stood there. I heard a man's low voice ring out. He was panting as he said, "Yili Xian, you are truly beautiful. Your body is even more enchanting than your face. I really want to die in your embrace and never get up again." I immediately recognized who this voice belonged to. He was called Kubu, my guard and my best brother. I grew up with him and Yulisian, so he always knew that Yulisian was my beloved girl. But now, he was sleeping in Yulisian's bed. When he said this, he thought of the past. The muscles on his face twisted and his handsome face became fierce and terrifying. Chen Ning said in a low voice, "Her name is Yulisian. And this name is truly beautiful." When she heard him talk about skinning people alive, she was filled with disgust towards him, but when she heard him talk about his past, it seemed like he wasn't a naturally vicious person. It seemed like he had been hurt in love, causing his mood to change like this. Na Mu Kyo did not look at her. His eyes looked out the window, falling into an unknown place. That's right, she is called Yulisian. Her name is beautiful, but she is even more beautiful. As for her body, it was indeed beautiful beyond compare. Her skin was as white and smooth as milk, making it hard for people to let go after touching it. So, I racked my brain to think of a way to help her keep it. I skinned her. It was a whole piece of human skin that was very perfect. After all these years, I have kept it well. Little beauty, do you want to see it? He suddenly turned around and revealed a strange smile at her. She instantly felt her blood run cold. It's her. Na Mu Kyo pointed at a lantern beside her and said in a soft voice. The lantern was as thin as a cicada's wing and there was a peerless beauty depicted on it. She was wearing a small embroidered hat with 2 black braids hanging down. She had a sweet smile and beautiful eyes, looking very beautiful. It was like a beautiful painting. Chen Ning couldn't help gently caressing the beauty's face and sincerely said, "She is truly beautiful." She found that she did not know what this lantern was made of. It was light and thin, like it was made of paper or leather. It was soft to the touch, just like a young girl's crystal clear skin. This is her skin. She suddenly came to her senses and suddenly took back her hand. Looking at the lantern, she felt her throat become dry and her fingers tremble. You actually turned her skin into a lantern. You. How could you even do this kind of thing? Even with her calm, her face couldn't help changing color and the hairs on her body stood up. Na Mu Kyo's deep black eyes looked at her and his lips slightly curled up, revealing his white teeth as he smiled. Little beauty, you are finally afraid. Little beauty, you are. You don't have to be afraid. As long as you listen to me obediently, I will treat you very well. But if you don't listen, I will peel off your skin and make another lantern. Chen Ning bit her lips and her face turned as white as snow. She wasn't afraid of death, but the thought of being skinned alive and then made into lanterns made her feel nauseous. The food she had just eaten churned in her stomach, and she almost vomited it out. Chen. After you discovered Yulisian's affair, what happened to you? She took a deep breath and asked. Chapter 6:17. I heard Na Mu Kyo's low and deep voice slowly ring out. Afterwards, I heard Yulisian's voice. She said, "Good big brother, how much you love me, give it to me tonight. After tonight, I will marry him and I will become his woman." Her voice was still as sweet and moving as a heavenly bird, but my stomach was filled with pain because she was calling another man. She was calling him good big brother. I couldn't hold back and placed my hand on the hilt of my knife. I wanted to jump through the window and stab them one by one, ending this pair of cheap people. Who would have thought that at this time, I would hear Kubu say, "Yulisian, you don't need to marry him. You are my woman, you can only marry me in this life." Yulisian gave a low sigh and said, "I have no choice but to marry him. If I don't marry him, he will exterminate my father's tribe. I can't harm the lives of my entire tribe just for me." When he said this, he paused and his eyes fell onto the lantern. He looked at it in a daze, as if his mind was immersed in the memories of the past. Chen Ning did not interrupt him. She was also looking at Yili Xian in the painting, thinking that the person she loved was not him. Ku Bu suddenly gave a cold laugh and said, "You don't need to be afraid, he won't live for long." Yili Xian was shocked and asked, "What did you say?" My heart was also shocked. I quickly held my breath and pricked up my ears to listen. Although the two of them did not hear a single word of my name, I knew that the him Ku Bu was talking about was definitely me. I heard Ku Bu proudly say, "Haven't you noticed any changes in him recently?" Yili Xian said, His face doesn't seem too good and he often shivers." I asked him what was wrong and he said that he was cold, so he wanted to hug me. As long as he hugged me, he wouldn't be cold. I thought that he wanted to get close to me, so I ignored him and left. "Ku Bu, what did you do to him?" Ku Bu said, "Don't worry about that. As long as you patiently wait a few more days, he won't be able to threaten you or your tribe." Yili Xian said in a trembling voice, "You poisoned him. You gave him the angel's horn, right?" Ku Bu did not say anything else, but he must have nodded. Hearing this, Chen Ning couldn't help letting out a soft cry, "The angel's horn." Na Mu Kyo immediately turned to look at her and said in a low voice, "What, you've also heard of this poison before?" Chen Ning said in a low voice, "The angel's horn, the flower is pure white and it looks like a beautiful morning glory. The pollen contains a strong poison and it can pass through a person's skin. A person who is poisoned by this poison will feel colder and colder until their blood turns to ice. It is ranked 7th in the world's top 10 poisonous flowers." Na Mu Kyo muttered, Seventh in the world is already this powerful. That's right, it's this angel's horn." He pressed his right hand against the low table, his fingers almost digging into the hard surface, his knuckles cracking. Chen Ning finally understood why his body was as cold as ice and why he often soaked in hot springs. It was because the angel's horn had no antidote and only sulfur could slow down the spread of its poison. Chapter 6:18. Yili Xian gave a low cry and buried her face into Ku Bu's chest, clearly not having the face to see me. Ku Bu looked up at me and said in a trembling voice, "Master, I." It was clear that he never thought that I would appear. I did not listen to him say a single word and directly sealed his acupuncture point before throwing him out the window. There was only me and Yili Xian left in the room. Her body that was as beautiful as a newborn baby appeared in front of me, looking strangely beautiful under the moonlight. This is the scene I yearned for. I have thought about her body for a long time and it was even more beautiful than I imagined. If it was normal times, I would have already thrown myself at her, but there was no ripple in my heart at that time. I just stared at her without blinking. I wanted to see what kind of heart was hidden under that beautiful appearance of this woman. Yili Xian was first panicked before she looked up at me and said, "Ah Kyo, I've let you down, kill me." She closed her eyes. I gave a cold laugh. "Do you think it's that easy if you want to die?" I pulled her up from the ground and roughly kneaded her body. Her skin was really soft, it was even smoother than milk. I used a lot of force and tears came out of her eyes from the pain, but she bit her lips and did not say a word. I said, "You never wanted me to touch you, did you? Why aren't you screaming when I touch you now? Scream for me." I used a lot of force and she gave a sharp cry. Her body trembled and tears came out of her beautiful eyes. I stared at her face and my heart did not have any pity at all. At this moment, I knew that I hated her. How much I loved her in the past, how much I hate her now. When Chen Ning heard this, her face couldn't help turning red. She covered her ears and said, "Don't say any more, I don't want to hear any more." She was thinking that if Yili Xian fell into his hands, what kind of good ending would she have? She did not want to listen to some inappropriate plot. Namu Kyo did not care, he was already completely immersed in the past. Although Chen Ning covered her ears, his voice still entered her ears word by word. Yili Xian suddenly threw herself into my embrace. She tightly hugged me and cried, "Ah Kyo, I'll give myself to you. I beg you to spare my tribe, all right." I looked at her and did not say a word. She stretched out her orchid-like arms around my neck and stood on her tiptoes to kiss me. If I didn't know about her and Kubu's matter, I would have fainted from excitement, but I just coldly looked at her. When her lips were about to touch mine, I suddenly pushed her away with a palm. She fell to the ground and looked at me in shock. I said, "Buli Xian, I'm Yili Bubu. You are not worthy of my pure feelings for you. Yili Xian, I want you to personally see how I kill people." I went over to grab her hair and dragged her out the door. There was already a large group of people gathered outside, all of them were Yili Xian's people. Chapter 6:19. The chief's head fell to the ground with his eyes still open. Yili Xian let out a scream of terror. I grabbed her with one hand and kept swinging the scimitar in my other hand. Heads flew into the air and my clothes were quickly soaked in blood. My eyes were red from killing and I did not let a single tribe member go. Even the newborn babies were cut in half by my scimitar. Finally, the world became silent. I turned around and looked at the naked man on the ground. I walked over to him step by step and the blood from the scimitar in my hand fell to the ground. Yili Xian had already fainted, but she suddenly woke up. She grabbed my arm and cried, "Ah Kyo, I'm begging you, don't kill him. It's my fault, everything is my fault, it has nothing to do with him." I turned to look at her and asked with an expressionless face, "Your meaning is that you seduced him?" Yili Xian's face turned white and she bit her lips, not saying a word. Kubu shouted, "It was me who seduced her, kill me if you want to kill her. Don't touch her." I looked at him coldly. "Kubu, even though you're my guard, I've always treated you as my best brother. Why did you betray me and poison me?" When Namu Kyo said this, his deep voice suddenly became sharp, like the scene of that day reappearing in front of his eyes. Chen Ning couldn't help feeling a chill run down her body. She had been covering her ears, but she slowly lowered them at this time. She heard Namu Kyo continue, "Kumu looked at my face filled with killing intent, but he did not reveal any fear. He loudly said, 'Because Yili Xian does not love you, the person she loves is me, not you.' But her father clearly knew this, but he still insisted on marrying her to you because you are the crown prince and I am only a guard. Because you can protect his tribe and his wealth, so he forcefully separated me and Yili Xian. So for the tribe, Yili Xian had no choice but to marry you. Namu Kyo, you have always been high up, proud, and conceited. You probably never thought that I am inferior to you in everything, but Yili Xian has fallen in love with me, ha, 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 ha." He wildly laughed. I knew that he wanted to anger me and make me kill him with a single slash, but I would not fall for his trick. He stole my most beloved woman, how could I let him die so easily? Namu Kyo turned around and stared at her. His wild eyes were filled with a tyrannical intent, making her back covered in a layer of cold sweat. I have already told you what happened next. I peeled Yili Xian's skin and made it into this lantern, so that she could always stay by my side. No matter where I go, I will always bring this lantern. As long as I see it, it is like seeing Yili Xian and she will never betray me again. You said that I had sent them to heaven and that they were living a very happy life, but you don't know that Yili Xian will not be able to go to heaven because she was not complete when she was sent to the sky burial platform. Her skin was left with me. So now she and Kubu are in heaven and one is in hell, they will never be together again. This is the end of my story. Little Beauty, did you enjoy listening? Chapter 620. Chen Ning's heart turned cold. She looked away and did not look at him. In a cold voice, she said, "Your Highness, what is your goal in telling me your story?" Na Mu Kyo said in a low voice, "I don't know either. Perhaps this matter has been suppressed in my heart for too long, or perhaps you remind me of Yuli Xian because you have the same pair of eyes as her. The first time I saw you, I almost mistook you for her. However, you are not Yuli Xian. Even if you want to become the second her, this prince will not give you this chance." He gritted his teeth, jumped up, and walked out without looking back. When the door slammed shut and she could no longer hear his footsteps, Chen Ning finally let out a long sigh of relief. She felt her back covered in cold sweat. She knew Na Mu Kyo's story. Although it was bloody and cruel, every word was true. Especially when she saw that lantern, she felt her throat fill with nausea. Abnormal. This man's mind was already twisted to the point of being abnormal. She felt like she was crazy. She was actually this bold and wanted to make a deal with this man. Perhaps she would also end up like this lantern in the end. But she had no way out now. She could only grit her teeth and continue walking. She let out a sigh and blew out the candle in the lantern. She placed the lantern in the closet. If she had to face this kind of human skin lantern, she would not be able to sleep. After blowing out the lantern, she found that the sky outside was already bright. She had listened to Na Mu Kyo's story for over an hour. Na Mu Kyo had promised that he would not touch her for 3 days, so she was not worried that Na Mu Kyo would return. She laid down on the bed and closed her eyes, wanting to sleep. She wanted to recover her energy to deal with this difficult East Qin crown prince. But her mind was filled with thoughts. How could she sleep? Mo Chuan's figure appeared in her mind, and then Chu Xiaobai appeared in her mind. They must know that she was missing and must be looking for her. That Zhui Feng, who was as stupid as Xiao Ru, could he understand the meaning of her words? Could he bring news of her to Mo Chuan? She finally fell asleep and had a dream. In the dream, she seemed to see a beautiful young girl with a pair of beautiful large eyes that kept talking to her, but she couldn't hear a single word. "What did you say?" "Big Count, I can't hear you," she loudly said to the young girl. The young girl's face suddenly revealed a look of shock as a large hand reached out and grabbed the young girl. A piece of human skin fell off and the young girl turned into a bloody mess, letting out a painful cry. She woke up with a start. Her face was covered in cold sweat. As soon as she opened her eyes, she saw a tall and sturdy figure beside her. He was looking down at her with a pair of cheetah-like eyes that glowed faintly. "Na Mu Kyo," she blurted out, not knowing if this was a dream or reality. He stared at her intently. "Did you have a nightmare?" He looked at her without turning. "Chen, what?" In fact, he had been there for a long time. Before she woke up, he had been by her side watching over her. After she fell asleep, that pair of eyes that were almost the same as Yuli Xian's were covered by 2 long and dense eyelashes, but he was still enchanted by them. The dark and soft cloud-like hair fell on the pillow, reflecting her snow-white face, making her look very beautiful. Chapter 621. Seeing her wake up from her dream and open her eyes that were similar to Yuli Xian's, it made him fall into a daze. It was like he had returned to his youth when he was infatuated with Yuli Xian, making his voice unknowingly become gentle. Chen Ning wiped the cold sweat off her head with her sleeve. Thinking of the young girl in her dream, she said, "I dreamed of Yuli Xian and saw you peel off her skin. She even said a few words to me." "Is that so? Did Yuli Xian tell you in your dream?" What did she say to you? Na Mu Kyo looked at her and said. She said, you are 100% a devil. She said word by word. Demon. That's right, I'm a demon, then what is she? I thought she was a fairy from the heavens, but she was fooling around with my guards behind my back. She stepped on my pride and dignity, everything I did was forced by her and Kubu. He gritted his teeth. Just because she and Kubu betrayed you, isn't it enough for you to kill the two of them? Why did you kill the lives of their entire clan, not even letting a newborn baby go? He coldly said, killing two people is not enough to vent this prince's anger. Since she dared to betray me, this prince will bury the lives of her entire clan with her. Everyone who betrays this prince will have the same ending. He coldly looked at her, even you are not an exception. This prince is not your husband Chu Xiaoyang, but if you become my woman, I will not allow you to betray me in the slightest. You can only have me in your heart, and if you dare think of another man, I will personally dig out your heart and eat it bite by bite. Then I will kill the man in your heart and his entire clan. If he is the emperor, I will destroy his country. Chen Ning stared at him and her body turned cold. She slowly said, Na Mu Kyo, you really know quite a bit. He revealed a smile, but that smile did not reach his eyes. His eyes were filled with a layer of ice. I am the smartest person in the world. As long as I want to know something, there is nothing that can escape my eyes. So, don't ever think of lying to me. You know the result of lying to me, Now, properly wash yourself, this prince will take you out. He clapped his hands and several female slaves came in. They were holding things to wash herself, preparing to help Chen Ning wash herself. Where are you taking me? She asked. Where do you think this prince wants to take you? I remember that we had an agreement. I will stay here and you will teach me the way of learning. Woman, you really are long-winded. This prince will give you half a cup of tea's time. If you haven't changed your clothes by then, this prince doesn't mind bringing you out in a disheveled state. After saying that, he strode away with large strides. He did what he said and in half a cup of tea's time, he came back. Chen Ning had already been changed into a new set of clothes by several female slaves. She did not care what these people gave her at all, she was only thinking about how to find Na Mu Kyo and obtain the secret technique as soon as possible. She raised her head and found that Na Mu Kyo's gaze on her had become intense and passionate. Her heart was shocked and she turned to look at herself in the mirror. Her eyes immediately lit up. Chapter 622. This set of East Chin clothes was very different from West Chu's, but it accentuated her small waist, making her look slender and beautiful. However, she seemed to have seen this outfit somewhere before. She also felt a sense of familiarity when she looked at herself in the mirror. That's right, it was Yili Xian. The Yili Xian on the human skin lantern was wearing the same set of clothes, no wonder she felt it was familiar. Na Mu Kyo, what is the meaning of wearing her clothes on me? You want to use me as a substitute for Yili Xian, right? Hearing Chen Ning's words, the female slaves all took in a cold breath. They were thinking that this girl actually dared to call the crown prince by his name. The crown prince would surely fly into a rage. Na Mu Kyo was not angry as he calmly said, no one can replace Yili Xian, this prince just feels that you look good in this set of clothes. If you don't like it, I'll have them prepare a new one for you tomorrow. There's no time now, let's go. He went to pull her hand, but Chen Ning took a step back and said, Your Highness. His eyes were filled with flames, you won't even let this prince touch your hand. Don't forget, you are the one asking me for help. Where are you taking me? Long-winded. Na Mu Kyo was impatient. After saying these two words, he suddenly walked forward and grabbed her wrist, bringing her out of the room and out of the guest house. There was a 4-horse carriage in front of the door, looking very noble and beautiful. The inside of the carriage was very comfortable, with a thick wool carpet, a low table, soft cushions, fruits, and wine. He pulled her onto the carriage and said a few words to the driver in East Chin language. The driver shook the reins and whipped the horse, causing the carriage to quickly move. The two of them did not say a word. Chen Ning did not even look at him. She just looked at the scenery outside the window, feeling more relaxed than facing him. After hearing his story, she felt an indescribable pressure when she looked at him, making her chest feel stuffy. Especially when she thought about how he killed Yuli Xian's entire clan and how he made her into a lantern, she just wanted to stay away from him. She began to realize that she had provoked a very dangerous person. Why aren't you speaking? Has my story scared you and made you afraid? Are you afraid of me now? Na Mu Kyo had been watching her the entire time, not missing a single expression on her face. He told her that story just to warn her, but seeing that she was really keeping a respectful distance from him made him feel very uncomfortable. She finally turned to look at him. It's not fear, it's disgust. Her honesty did not make him angry, but rather it made him laugh. He looked at her with eyes of admiration. You are the first girl that dares say this kind of words in front of me. You are very bold and courageous, which is why this prince likes you. You don't just have a beautiful face, you also have a beautiful head. His eyes were filled with a strong aggression, as if she was a fish on a cage. She was a fish on a fish on a fish on a fish. She turned her head away and continued to look out the window, saying nothing. What's so beautiful about the scenery outside that your gaze lingers on it like this? Could it be that this prince's face is not as beautiful as the scenery? Chapter 623. She could feel him coming closer to her. An arm was placed on the wall of the carriage, trapping her in the crook of his arm. He did not touch her, but as long as she moved, she would fall into his embrace. This was a very ambiguous position. If it was between lovers, it would be very romantic, but the closer he came, the more disgusted she felt. Your Royal Highness, I hope you remember the 3 rules we agreed on. She looked up at his burning gaze. Of course this prince remembers. I will not force you, my little beauty, because I do not need to force others. I will wait for the day you fall in love with me and throw yourself into my embrace. He lowered his head and revealed a smile at her. She said in her heart, never. He still had a sunny smile on his face as he stared into her eyes. You still have another man in your heart, so you would rather jump off the carriage to your death than let me touch you, right? She did not say a word, but her expression explained everything. Na Mu Kyo released her arm and calmly said, after Yuli Xian died, I have had many, many women and I found that no woman has ever rejected me. I did not need to smile at them, I did not need to please them, I did not need to sing love songs to them and they would take the initiative to give their hearts to me. Each woman worships me like a god and they all did it willingly. Yuli Xian was the only one who rejected me because the person she loved was not me. You are the second girl to reject me because the person you love is not me, so you can be assured that before you are willing, I will not touch you. If it's like this, then I thank you. She said in a low voice. He revealed a taunting smile. It sounds like you don't care about my love at all. Do you know that the more you reject me, the more interested I become? Because the easier it is to obtain something, the less valuable it is and the less I care about it. Do you know where the women that threw themselves into my embrace went in the end? You wouldn't have killed them all, right? Ha ha, it seems like my story last night left a deep shadow in your heart. This prince does not like killing people, especially the women that love me. I couldn't bear to kill them, but I also looked down on them. So when I was tired of their faces, I sent them to the army camp and gave them to my soldiers to enjoy. He broke out in a proud laugh. Chen Ning's body trembled and she forcefully bit her lips. Little beauty, you don't need to be afraid. This prince likes you and my interest in you is stronger than all of them combined. Before this prince can see what you are thinking in that beautiful little head of yours, this prince is not willing to give you to my rough subordinates. They don't know how to appreciate your beauty, they are only interested in your body. After he said this like nothing had happened, he picked up the fruits on the table and gave them to her. Try our East Chin country's fruits, isn't it sweeter and more delicious than your West Chu country's? Isn't it sweeter and more delicious than your West Chu's? Just like our East Chin men, they are all brave warriors. I'm afraid you haven't tasted the taste of a real man, right? When you become my woman, I will make it so that you will never be willing to leave me. You're tuning in to the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.